You can just like go to your Facebook real quick and share it off of that if you want.
Okay.
It'll just blank your screen up for a second.
Did you just share it?
Give me 1 second. It's still going live.
Okay, gotcha.
Gotcha. There we go. Share. Feed. Post.
Yep, there it is. Share. Cool.
National champion. Yeah, that's right. Okay, done. Excellent. Excellent. All right. I think it should be okay. My daughter gave me a little holder thing with a light on it. Come in handy.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about. Those little iPhone
Mhm.
tripods.
Yeah, this is just like a little. I think they use it for like makeup or something. There's like a little mirror on it. It works out nice. It's got a light that you can adjust it and
Is it the
everything.
little halo light?
Yeah, but it's only
Yep.
like this big around. It's not like one of those big ones.
Right. You gotta
I
watch it. If you buy a cheap one and your phone's heavy, it'll just they'll fall
dude,
right over.
I confiscated two of their other ones that they had those big 10-inch ring ones. I got two
Yeah.
of them up on my ceiling in the garage here that I use for lighting down here.
Comes in handy.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Okay, let's see here. Live. We are live. Let me mute this. I wish I could figure out how to have us both on the live stream, you know, together on the same screen. But because I go off my phone on the Zoom, it flips back and forth between whoever's talking.
Oh, does it do that? Do you want to go to YouTube then? We can do that. That's fine.
No, it's okay because I like using the backdrop.
Okay.
Okay, let's see here. Oh man, 5 people watching already. Sweet. All right, let's see here. Let me share this to my group. I usually don't use this laptop very often, so it's a little different. There we go. Post.
Currently locked in my room right now. I'm a little 2-year-old's out there. There's no way I can be out there and do this. So
Dude, I usually have to lock my dog out of the basement because he'll come down here and start tripping over wires and knock
yeah.
the camera and the laptop off. I'm like, bro. Like one time we was doing a podcast and he come down here and he heard something outside the door and just started barking. I'm just like, oh, bro, come on. Okay. Yeah, there's the Lucky Ones podcast is going on right now. Chance is online right now. Aussie Arm Wrestler's on right now. Matt Speakman, what up, brother? Nice to see you, my friend. Thanks for joining us. Shout out to Matt. He joined in on dog fights with less than 3 weeks notice.
Is that
So
the
shout out.
176 guy you were looking for?
Yes, yep.
Okay.
So Matt's taking on my training partner Parker Wise,
Okay.
left hand. Yeah.
How's that look stylistically? Not familiar with
Um, I think they're both gonna try to top roll. To be honest with you,
yeah.
because I know um Matthew is he cracked my wrist back. We had a match like a year ago or something like that, and man, in round one, I thought he broke my wrist there for a second. I was like, oh crap. I was like, oh crap. I mean, granted I'm not known for my left, but if I get into my spot, I'm pretty strong. But
Right.
yeah, first round he just went shoop right through my wrist, and my wrist was like bam, 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 bam.
It's an awful feeling too.
I was like, oh
The
crap.
worst
He's like,
feeling in the world.
yeah, he like stopped. He's like, are you okay? I'm like, I don't know. Hold on, let me see. Yeah,
And what's crazy about it is I don't care how strong your hand and wrist get, there's always going to be one person out there who's able to just completely bust it back. No
yeah,
matter what, it's going to happen at some point.
yeah. All right, so welcome to the podcast, everybody. Anybody that's watching or watching at a later time, welcome to East Ohio Arm Wrestling Podcast. I am your host, Billy Collins, and with us today, 220 left hand national champion, Mr.
Yes, sir.
Cody Smith. Thanks for being here, Cody.
Yep. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, heck yeah, man. What a wonderful showing at the USA National Championship at in Dayton. That was in April, right? We talked about that on
Yes. Yep.
the last podcast you were on. Kind of give everybody a kind of a recap of what happened there.
Um, so I pulled, honestly, kind of thought I had a bad draw. My first match was against Steven Martinez de la Catera. I don't know if you're familiar with him.
Oh yeah,
Dude's a
yeah,
brute. Dude is
yeah,
so strong. And
yeah.
he actually got me last year at Michigan State. We got into a little bit of a war, 2023 Michigan State. And he was able to pin me in a hook. So that was, kind of big for me to go up there and kind of put him straight to the pin pad right away. And I think that kind of set the pace for the rest of the tournament.
How did that match go with him?
Yeah,
National.
I was able to just bust his hand and put him straight to the pin pad off the ready go. So it felt pretty good to do that after not pulling the dude for, I don't know, when was Michigan State in 23? Was it in May? I want to say it was
June, yeah,
May.
June 3rd, I
June.
think.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay, yeah. So after not pulling him for almost a year, I wasn't really sure. I mean, when dudes like that that are that strong
yeah,
put you in a hook and beat you, I mean, it's not very often that they're getting weaker and showing up, to national events and things of that nature.
yeah,
So
yeah, exactly.
then that kind of set the pace for the day. Like I said, I pulled a few other guys. I'm not sure exactly who they were. They were all from out of state. I don't think I pulled anybody from Ohio. That's something that kind of mind boggled me. It wasn't very many Ohio pullers at at nationals. And I
That's
don't
dude. I
know.
was Trust me, I was gonna be there if my water in the well didn't go bad, and we just chucked out 5 Gs for getting
Well,
hooked up to a new water
you're up
system.
you're up northeast Ohio. Where exactly in Ohio are you at? Like what region, I guess?
So if you look at Pittsburgh, PA,
Mhm.
we're right inside of Ohio, right on the border of northern West Virginia, PA, and Ohio, right in that little tip, right in there on the north
Okay, so
part
it's
of.
still probably about a 3 hour haul for you then.
Oh, it would have been more. I think it was like 4.5 for me.
Was it really?
Yeah, to get down to Dayton. Yeah,
Yeah.
because I don't think there's no turnpike that you can go on. It's like 2230, or you go down to 250 and then you hit over that way.
Okay.
I think
Yeah,
that's
see,
the
I've been
way
up
that
to
it
West
was.
Virginia a few times. I don't remember exactly how far it was. I want to say it's probably around that 3 or 4 hour mark as well. So
Yeah,
yeah, but I mean, dude, there was guys that probably live with within 45 minutes that just
dude, I
didn't
was
do anything that day. That drives me crazy.
surprised. Yeah, I was surprised. I mean, they'll have another chance, next
Yeah.
next year it's going to be the same spot. So I'm planning on going. You know,
It's a great
so
event, great tournament. Probably the best refs you'll see in North America refing these
oh yeah,
events.
yeah,
I
definitely. Yeah,
honestly, it
I
makes you not going to pull anywhere else after having
yeah,
that strict of refing. It's great.
yeah. Leonard asked me to ref for it, and originally I was just going to go and pull because I told him, I said I really want to cut to 72 and then pull, but whatever happened, I wasn't going to cut, but I was still going to go, and
Hmm.
then I was still going to pull at the heavier weight. Um, but then the water thing happened, and then everything went down the drain. I was like, pain
Yeah,
in the
see, that
butt.
kind of throws that throws a little bit of a little bit of a curveball for because you pull 176 typically. So what do you walk around about
No, no,
180,
no, no, no.
185 or
I pulled 76 last year at Michigan State and won the novice there, and that was, that was solidifying my entry into the pro division at that weight category. Now,
okay.
since then, dude, I cannot. Um, it's just life is not fun, constantly starving myself. At
No,
that
I know.
weight, I could walk around at 180, but it was causing me a lot of mental issues with no
Yeah.
food and stuff and whatnot, and constantly watching everything that I ate and everything. It was just not fun.
Yeah,
So
it
I
sucks.
made the decision just to walk around at 198 and pull. If I get smoked, I get smoked. It's I'm
Well, at
not going
least
to
you're
be a national
healthy.
champion.
I,
So it
I
is
went
what it is.
into I went into nationals with that exact same mindset. I said, I could pull. I walk around right now. I walk around about 230. I was probably about 225, 226. I was like, I could try to cut to 210 and just be completely dead, make the weight, be fine, and then
Right.
rehydrate. But you're not like when you pull big tournaments like that, every division is going to have some killers in it. So
Mm-hmm.
why starve myself and put myself on the on the worst end of that deal? Why not just
Right.
pull the weight class? Like I got to wake up, eat breakfast, take my sweet time getting ready, drive to the tournament, show up and pull, and I was completely hydrated, you know, nourished. I felt great, and
Yeah.
that's honestly ideally the best way to pull.
Yeah. 100%. Dude, I cut. Well, I didn't cut, a lot from the, from like 2 weeks prior, but I had slowly cut down from 215 pounds all the way down to 76s for Michigan State last year. And it was like a 6 month to 8 month cut, just
Yeah.
slowly doing it and stuff. But
At least you felt good. And I mean, I'd imagine you probably felt pretty good doing that
I felt okay.
comparatively.
I felt okay. I was the first one to weigh in. I got that,
Yeah.
made sure that I got the premium check-in time and stuff like that. I was like the first one to weigh in, and then as soon as I weighed in, dude, I had a bag full of crap and
Yeah.
peanut butter and jelly sandwiches and water and Pedialyte and everything. I just freaking hammered it.
Yeah.
But yeah, just staying down at that weight for me, it was just not mentally good for me. So I was just like,
Right.
I'll just have fun in 98s. And I feel stronger. I am stronger at 98s, but compared to the rest of the field,
Hmm.
I'm, low level, I won't be high
Well,
level at 98 at all.
I don't think that and I mean this goes for a lot of newer pullers too. I don't think anybody like especially within your first year should even be worried about what weight class you're pulling. I think
Oh,
you
yeah.
should just
No.
show up and pull and make sure you're completely hydrated because that's when injuries happen.
In the
People
first year,
water
you're going to
load.
get smoked no matter what anyway.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. I mean, you're whether you pull super heavyweights or whether you make a massive cut to 54, I don't care. It doesn't matter. You're gonna pull, but you're gonna pull good arm wrestlers. So
Mm-hmm.
just go in there, feel the best you can feel. As long as you're completely hydrated, you're training, you're conditioned, you're getting
Yep.
into the sport, you're just testing the waters. You don't know what weight you're gonna be competitive at yet. You don't really know where you stand. You're just kind of getting a feel for things. Like you're getting your feet wet. So yeah, I don't think it's a bad idea by any means. I kind of made the mistake of trying to stay at 198 for a little too long. I think my last event at 198 was when I pulled yeah, it was when I pulled Logan in West Virginia.
Yep.
And the week prior to that, I pulled Brock Isola in the BAL. So I had to cut from 218, 217, something like that, done on 198 for that Brock Isola
Mm-hmm.
match. Then I
That was a
got back
fun
inside.
match.
That was super fun. And I'm not a righty, so anytime I have fun in a right-handed match, it was fun. But
Mm-hmm. Hey,
I think
let's
I got back
check
up to
the
like
chat real
205.
quick.
Okay.
Let's hit up the chat real fast before I forget about it.
Gotcha.
Uh, Manolo Sanchez, Posea TV, he says, hello, gentlemen. What's up, brother? Logan Cooper, he's in the chat, says studs. What up, Logan? What's up, brother? And then Matthew Speakman also say, Cody, I'd love to train with you sometime, bro. So there you go.
Absolutely.
Dude, that would be he would be able to get some good some good hard pulls in for Matthew. Because you always want to train with somebody stronger than you, or else you're going to
Yeah.
plateau, or you're not going to get any stronger. So
Yeah, it's like lifting heavier
constantly,
weights.
exactly,
Same thing.
exactly. Yep, that's one thing that I need to do is I've been using the table time as my heavy day,
Hmm.
but we don't have like a 300 pounder that we can all just beat on.
Right.
That can handle it. So we're all pretty much at the same kind of level, all of us older guys now, and to start upping my recovery. Like instead of doing 3 recovery days, I'm going to have to probably do 1 recovery after table time, and then do a heavier slash recovery, in between my third recovery workout.
You guys got to get a few big guys to train with.
I know, yeah.
It's weird to say it, but if you look at a lot of great arm wrestlers, like look at Kevin at 154 for example.
Hmm.
He's got a lot of big dudes that train with him. I mean,
Yeah, exactly.
J Rob, Rich,
Rich, yeah.
Johnny Jarrett, they're all, what, even Johnny's 2 weight
Johnny's still
classes
two
higher
200
than,
and 210 pounds. I think Johnny walks around at, or
yeah.
at least 198.
What's Kevin walking around? Probably about 170, 172, something like
165.
that. Okay.
I
Yeah.
just
So, I
talked to
mean,
him the other day, or yesterday, or the day before. We was talking about dog fights, and he said that he weighed in today at 169 or 168 with clothes and shoes on.
yeah. Yep.
Wow.
Completely hydrated.
Yeah, completely hydrated. Only a little over 10 pounds over his actual weight, which is awesome. I
Yeah,
would
that's
guess he's probably
crazy.
163, 164. Nude would be
When
my
he's been
guess.
pulling that weight class for ever since he started, too, I'd imagine. I don't think he ever was. He's probably pulled 176 for fun. But I'm
Yeah.
saying, like, he
Yeah.
probably has always been a 54 guy. I don't know how long he's been pulling for. I'd probably guess about 7 years, 6 years.
Yeah. I want to say Kev's probably maybe even close to 10 years now, to
Coming
be
up on
honest with
10.
you. I think it's at least 7 years, if not
Yeah.
closer to 10, would be my guess. But yeah, so go ahead back to the Nationals. Um, you know, what was your thought process once you got that the win on uh Delicatera, right?
Yeah. I don't know, man. I just kind of went into a completely different, I didn't have any expectations that day. Just came off a loss in a super match from Sam Tabard back in October. So I've just been training leading up to that, and I've gotten a lot stronger. So after that, I guess it just kind of set the pace for the whole day. I just thought that I was untouchable that day, and I
Boom,
pulled
baby.
Jack Severa, and that dude's from Washington. That dude's an animal. Had no idea who he was, and I'm happy I didn't know who he was because it probably would have got in
Yeah.
my head a little bit. But
Mm.
put him to the pin pad in the tournament, and then in the finals, I had a little bit of a fight there. He has a really strong hand, really strong back pressure, but I threw a press in there. I don't even press people, but I started doing that. So
It seems like you're doing that more and more.
kind
The
of,
higher
yeah,
level of guys
being
that
able
you're
to
having to face
transition.
now, yeah, the
Yeah,
higher level guys that you're facing now, you're needing to use, each of these, aspects of your
yeah.
game rather than just either just top rolling or hooking.
Oh yeah, and it gets crazy how easily every lane gets quickly gassed. I mean, if
Mm-hmm.
my hand's not 100% or my back pressure or my pronation's not 100%, then if I go up against somebody like Jack Severa or somebody like Arson, I can't, depend on that. I have to figure something else out and
Mm-hmm.
kind of, yeah, I guess that's the way the game works. But endurance training to me is huge. I've just kind of started switching to that for those reasons because I realize that these lanes get, I don't want to say they get shut down because they're weak. I just want to say they get shut down because each match takes a little bit from you, especially
Oh
in a
yeah,
tournament.
yeah. You only have
And
so many matches, like strike matches, you know,
yeah,
to hard pulls, for an X amount of period,
hmm
So if you only have 6 hard pulls that you're capable of, and you utilize, 3 real quick,
yeah.
it's tough.
That's why I try
That's
not to
tough.
get in any hook wars with anybody. Um,
Yeah, that's why I try to teach all my new guys. I'm like, you're better off just learning to top roll, you know,
yeah.
that way, because 90% of people are top rollers anyway. So you got to have it for defense anyway, so that,
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, if you don't have the hand in the bag pressure and just the understanding of how to fight somebody's hand, I
yeah,
mean, you better be
exactly.
really
So that's,
strong.
yeah, I've been really hounding all my students and just really focusing on, being able to top roll first as defense and then second as offense, because some of the guys are, hook dominant, it is
Yep.
what it is, but their hand isn't capable of containing, somebody else's pronation and stuff. So, we're working on it, but
And I think that's what it comes down to. I mean, they just feel like they don't have that lane, so they just
mm,
resort to what's natural. And it's the same with like doing a max bench press or, you know, um anything that's putting your body to its limits. Your body's just naturally gonna resort back to what it can do,
yeah,
to stay in it. So that's why when people first start lifting weights, man, I don't care what the weight is. Same with a lot of these arm wrestling lifts. I see a lot of people doing like I can tell you, I think my average rep range and with the weight, I guess, the average weight that I'm doing on like these pronation and riser movements is probably like 60, 70 pounds.
mm,
60, 70 pounds, 25, 30 reps. I'm just drilling my hand, wrist, and forearm. I'm doing that 5 days a week. So the intensity is not going to be crazy high. It can't be. I'll get hurt.
yeah,
And but it's also with pretty dialed in form. I want to make sure that when I'm moving that I'm moving everything like I would be on the
right.
table, but also with enough discipline to understand that me kind of throwing my arm into it, it's not realistic.
Now let
So
me ask you this about the 5 days a week doing that amount of weight for that amount of reps.
yes.
Is it still allowing your pronator to recover enough, to where you could actually build up the pronator instead of gassing it and then keeping it gassed? You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah. See, so I hit the pronator from different angles. I don't just loop it around my thumb and do that every single day. I'll
Mm-hmm.
kind of throw like a strap on a cable machine and I'll kind of hit it from like, I'll kind of put the cable straight out here like this and kind of pull back
Okay,
a
so
little
you're
bit.
doing different vectors every day for
Yep. So
pronator.
they're
Okay,
different angles of pronation, not
gotcha.
just the same lift. Because I mean
Right.
ultimately that's just going to cause you to plateau.
Yep.
But average about 60, 70 pounds. I might come in there and I feel a little beat up that day, so I'm doing 50. I might come in
Mm-hmm.
there and be like, okay, I'm a brute today, so I'll throw 80, 85 on or something. And it's really just kind of how I feel because if I tried to write that down and and take the same approach I do with like my bench press, which is progressive overload, if I tried to do that, it'd ultimately lead to me just tearing my arm up
Yeah.
because you're going to go in there, you're not 100% every day. I mean, it's just the way it works. You could be completely nourished, hydrated, sleeping for I don't care. You could be sleeping 12 hours a day and waking up after 6 hours just to drink a gallon of water. Like it doesn't matter. You're gonna have those days. So I think just knowing, how your body is that day and being able to train at your best, it's gonna be the same with arm wrestling. You could show up to a tournament and just feel like garbage and you just gotta do what's best for you that day, compete at your
Mm-hmm.
best.
Right. So you fared well at nationals. All of Ohio was super proud of you. I know I was. Just
It's
because
awesome.
I've been involved in quite a few of your matches. You know, it is awesome to see Ohio guys doing well. On a national stage. It's awesome to see that. Because in reality, we don't have a whole lot of um, national level events in Ohio. We got a lot of events, but they're pretty pretty much localized events.
Yeah,
So it was awesome being able to see to do well with guys not from around here, which is awesome. I was real proud of you.
I appreciate that. Yeah, that was awesome. I mean, it's always I'm always happy when I'm able to be in my own state and kind of show out. it's pretty cool to do that. So
Yeah, exactly. So you took the high from that and you you traveled to Arizona. So go ahead and tell the viewers, what your thought process is on why you went to Arizona State versus Michigan State because it was the same weekend.
it was.
What caused you to make the decision to go to Arizona?
I'm gonna be honest with you. I made a mistake with that. Um, I kind of saw that Arizona State in the past has been super high level, and they put me at number 7 in the country, and there was a lot of people that were kind of like, okay, I don't know if he should be number 7. At 230 pounds and 220, 230. Same weight class really.
Right.
Just different federations, but there was a lot of people just saying like, I don't think he should be there, or maybe it was, just some freak accident that he did that well at nationals. So I was like, okay, well, I could go to Michigan State and pull, you know, good level pullers. Not gonna say there's not a good level of pullers there because there definitely
Right.
is, but you
Yeah.
don't have, you don't have every single class stacked 5 to 6 super high level pullers. You've got a
Right.
few in each class, depending on the year you might have. But I mean, for the most part, I've pulled Michigan State the past 3 years in a row, 21, 22, and 23. And, 198 for 2 years and then 220 for 1 year. And when I pulled that 220, I pulled a lot of guys that I've already previously pulled. There's a
Right.
lot of Michigan guys, a lot of Ohio guys. I pulled Scott Bollinger. He's there all the time. A lot of these guys that are always at these events. And I just kind of wanted to test myself. That I kind of wanted to prove to people that I was at the level that is perceived. So I was like, all right, well, we're going to go out to Arizona State, and there's going to be a lot of badasses there. So I'm going to have to kind of put my money where my mouth is and show out. And I made a mistake. I did not read the fine print on that. I did not know they had the 220 right-handed round robin that day.
Hmm.
Granted, I'm a lefty. It was a right-handed round robin, but after people pull these round robins, man, they want to leave. They want to go home. That's a long day for them. So
Hmm.
I already booked the plane tickets. Everything was good. And then I think I was talking to Doug Allen about that, and he told me about the 220 round robin. And I was like, oh no. I was like, is that, yep, that's the same day. Okay, well, kind of made that mistake. Um, However, kind of a blessing in disguise. That 220 round robin drew out, some pretty high level dudes.
Yeah.
I placed fourth that day, which wanted to do better. Always want to do better. I'm never happy with losing. Lost to Arson. I can't pronounce his last name. I'm sorry. And then I
Me
lost
either.
to
Yeah.
I'm not good at it. And then lost to Mario after that. That was kind of a weird thing too. Arson beat Mario. Then me and Arson had a war, and then Mario came back and ended up beating both me and Arson. So
Hmm.
me and Arson were pretty
Did he
tough it
press
out
both
after
of you
that.
guys? I know I saw that he pressed you with that
Yeah,
quick one, but
it was a weird. So he set up in the setup. My inner elbow was just fried from transitioning into that press against Arson. So
hmm.
I knew there was no way I was going to go and hook with that dude. I know how strong Mario is. I was like, okay, I'm not hooking this dude. I'm going to have to go outside. That's about the only lane I had. And he set up, very, very a lot of side pressure, a lot of posting, going on sideways, not much back. So I was like, okay, cool. I feel fine here. So I just set up high, engaged my riser. Everything felt good. And then right off the ready go, he kind of supinated his ring finger and his pinky knuckle in and flopped his wrist down, kind of put it right on top of my wrist bone here. I
Yeah.
don't know.
Yeah.
And the weirdest
You
pressure I've
didn't
ever
have
felt.
any side pressure engaged or anything like that to keep him
Nope,
out
it
of his
was
shoulder.
nope. Right off the rip, it
Dang.
was just I was going back and I was trying to take hand control, and I mean that of course, ultimately happened because he flopped his wrist like he did, but but it immediately kind of shut down my rise and my pronator, and then it was I felt strong.
Did you hang on in
Second,
that? That was out of straps, correct?
that was
And
I
you hung
tried to
on?
slip.
Oh,
Well,
you
I
tried
tried
to
to
slip?
slip. Yeah, I tried to go. The second I tried to go sideways, I think it's the second my hand hit the pin pad. It was really fast. I'm not gonna
Oh,
lie.
dang.
That
Yeah.
yeah,
I
I wish
thought it
I
was
could have.
quick.
Yeah, I wish I could have had a lot more for that match. Um, that that match kind of solidified well, I don't know how the brackets worked out. I want to say that match was fighting for because me and Mario both had one loss. Arson and Raymond were undefeated. So yeah, that match was basically fighting for third, in
Mhm.
the computer's eyes, fighting for third on paper, but that didn't happen. Um,
Yeah.
but yeah, Mario's from Australia, Arson's from Armenia, Raymond is from I don't even know how to pronounce where he's from. L- Latvia, I maybe.
Raymond's Lipens, he was in that bracket.
No, Raymond. I can't pronounce his last name either. Anovics,
Hmm.
Antovics. I want to say
Hmm.
he should. He did pretty good. He's previously pulled on like the top eight, and I want to say he's done Zloty tours. Um, Pretty strong dude. I got to pull him right handed. Dude just had a monster hand.
Yeah.
Crazy strong. But I
Let's
think
check
he
out the
got
chat real
first.
quick. Arm Truval channel says hi to all, and then James Carpenter has a question for you. Has Cody faced Rich Galero in a match? I do
Nope,
believe you. You've never
haven't
pulled Rich
pulled
left handed in a
Rich.
match?
I think I pulled Rich when I started arm wrestling in 2021 in like April or May, and I think I pulled Rich that year in like September, August or September or something.
So it's been
So
a while then.
yeah, it's been since I was fresh. Yeah. But no, we're scheduled to pull a super match in October. Personally would like it to be a little sooner, but I hate committing to matches that far out. I hate doing that because you never know what's going to happen from one day to the next.
Right.
Um, October 20th, 22nd, somewhere around there. It's scheduled at Gus's bar, right and left handed. So,
Gotcha. Logan Cooper said Cody is too much for Rich these days, in his opinion.
well, I appreciate that, Logan.
Yeah. I tend to
Oh, yeah.
probably agree with Logan. I mean, you can never count Rich out, but I mean, you're on
Yeah, Rich,
another
Rich
level
is
right
strong.
now.
Rich is strong. I
Yeah.
do want to
Rich is
say
very strong.
though that I think Rich is really solid at 198. I'm not sure about Rich at 220. You're going up a weight class. Dudes are I mean, I'm short as a 220 I'm 6 foot tall.
Right.
My hand is big at 198. It's very mediocre at 220.
Hmm.
I mean that jumping up a weight class from 198 to 220 was, night and day difference on some of these guys. Some of the size of these dudes is just ridiculous.
Right. Right. Right.
The
Like
power difference.
that's kind of exactly what I was seeing in the 76 versus 98. At 76, if I stayed at that weight and I could stay at that strength level, okay, maybe I was like close to top five, maybe like 5, 6, 7 ish in Ohio. But
Yeah.
at 98, I'm right, maybe probably like outside of the top 10 almost, at 98. So it's
Yeah,
like
it's a weird
at that
thing
heavier
too.
weight class, I'm like way down the list.
And this is all just kind of looking at on paper, right? Because you haven't pulled a lot of these
Correct.
98s around here. So
Hmm.
who do you have in front of you at 98 currently?
Um, as of the moment, um, I wasn't on the list as of the last update.
Okay.
I need
I know the
to,
198s was super deep.
yeah.
Um,
Hang on, let me look it up because I got a first place at my event recently, and so that if they updated right now, I would be probably number 14 ish.
okay.
But let's see here. We got Jose. He's at 13. He should be higher than that. Johnny's at 11. Stacy's at 10. I know I can get Stacy
Ronnie
right-handed.
Jarrett's at number 11.
11. Yeah, yeah. I think Johnny and I are gonna try to get grip up
Are you
at
t-
some
you're
point.
talking right? Are you talking right-handed?
Right hand. Yeah, right hand.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. Right hand. Um. So I think I'm probably right around number 10ish. You know,
Okay.
realistically, I think I could probably be around that level
Johnny's
if
still pulling,
everything
right?
if everything washed out, because
Okay,
there's
yeah.
some guys that probably need to be higher than and then there might be other guys that need to be lower. So you never
And
know.
maybe
I
we
could
need to do like
probably
a maybe we need
crack
to
the
do
top
like a
10.
12-man round robin in Ohio for the 98 class.
Right.
Because that would answer a lot of people's questions. You got a lot of people that just don't want to show up. I mean,
Yeah. Like Dave Dutton's at 15. Like he could be closer to 10, if not, you know, 5 through 10, possibly. He's freaking good.
right.
Um, yeah. So Croxell's 14, and I know I just finished above him at the last event, so I should at least be 14
Now, does that play
on
into
on
factor
a
there
98. What is it?
with rankings? Does that factor in placing higher?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep. So if you go to a tournament and the number three guy finishes higher than you in the tournament, but you guys don't actually pull, he still gets the number one spot because he finished higher than you in the tournament.
Okay, I got you.
As far as OPAR rankings go.
Yeah. Well, I feel like you kind of have to do that to keep things moving. Um,
Yeah.
I mean, everybody's always going to have their own opinions on rankings at the end of the day, regardless. You could try to be the most fair about it. It doesn't matter. People are always
Right.
going to have something to say.
Oh yeah, 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 yeah. Logan said I said heck with it and cut to the children's division. Have you seen Logan lately? He's like
He
172
told me he
pounds.
was 176. Yeah, me and Logan
Yeah.
talk. I mean, we talk pretty frequently. Yeah, he told me he was 176, and I lost it. I was like,
Yeah.
man, weren't you like walking around 210? Like,
He was walking
yeah,
around 220, 213 ish,
yeah,
whenever he did BAL3 like a
yep.
monster, and then, kind of disappeared there for a minute and then showed back up at Garage Wars. I was
Yeah,
like, where's
76.
the rest of you at?
Yeah, I
I was
left
like,
my
holy
leg in the
crap. He was
trunk.
just like, oh my goodness.
Yeah.
He just commented, said he's 165 pounds these days.
Oh, dude, he's on his way to 54. Isn't he
Jeez.
like, look, isn't Logan like 6'3"?
I think he's 6'2", I want to say. 6'1" or 6'2". Like he could be, I don't think he's 6'3".
Dude's gonna be like Roger Cunningham in the 54s. Just the tallest
Logan,
dude
how
at the
tall are you?
table.
He said he hit 162 at the lowest. I'm assuming nude. I'm guessing he's probably 6'1", 6'2", because I think
Yeah.
he's just a hair taller than I am.
Yeah, he's a tall dude.
Yeah. Yeah, he's 6'2".
Yeah.
Yeah, with those cowboy boots, he's 6'4".
It
That's why I wear my
does make a
cowboy boots.
difference.
Anytime I'm like competing, I try to wear the tallest shoe that I can. That way I
See,
get
I
a little
switched
bit
from
more height.
that. Yeah, I used to kind of like wearing boots when I was competing because it made me kind of, I was up a little
Yeah,
higher.
instead of here, you're here.
Yeah,
I enjoy being over my hand a little bit more. That way I can get it here faster.
right.
You know.
Yeah, I kind of switched to kind of wearing like some gym shoes rather now. Just I can move so much better in them. If I'm
Yeah.
posting my leg up against the table too, I used to slip off because the heel of my boot would always kind of be probably hanging on by a thread, and then it would kind of slide, like slide, slip off, and it just wasn't fun. That happened a lot in practice.
You got to hear this. Logan said he showed up to a practice a few weeks ago. He said that's
Right.
when I knew I looked bad. LOL.
I didn't hear it. It just kind of cut out there. What'd you say?
He said he showed up to practice a few weeks ago, and one of the guys asked him when his next chemo treatment was.
I mean,
Dude,
he could have
compared to
fooled
the
me.
213 that he was, I mean, like,
Yeah.
geez, 62? Come on.
I haven't seen him. Me and Logan pulled. We had like a little practice back in shit. I think I was still in a sling, or maybe I just got out of a sling after shoulder surgery. That was like February, March, something like that of 23.
Mm-hmm.
And I want to say then he was probably in the 190s. Um,
Yeah,
he wasn't down to 76 yet.
right. Matthew Speakman just said he's been pulling 98, pulled against Bill Ballinger left, and won against him at Michigan.
It's a solid
Left hand,
win.
left hand, yeah. Now
Yeah,
Bill's the
Bill's
dad,
not a.
correct?
Yep, I think it's the dad. Yes.
Yep.
Um,
Yeah, he's
yeah,
freaking
Bill's no
strong.
joke. Yeah, Bill's no joke. Getting wins
He
on that
came to
guy,
our
you're doing
last
something
event,
right.
and I think he won Masters both hands. I do believe.
Yeah.
I could be wrong. I know he won Masters right,
I've
198.
always been curious about this. Is Masters, is it kind of a set age across the board, or is it kind of
I
from
went
like,
with 40 plus just because that's what the USAA was doing.
okay.
Um, but I've heard other people complaining that it's too early for that. Masters should be 50. Some people are saying 45. I just kind of follow what Leonard and Denise do with their weight
Yeah,
classes
I think
and
if
stuff.
people just kind of let it go across the board, that's what
It's
it
kind of like the
is.
standard in my eyes. USA and IFA rules. It's the standard. It's the most
Yeah.
fair, in the United States, and it's the most simple, and it keeps everything nice and fair. You know, nice strict refing. I enjoy it. So I just follow along with um, that rule set and those weight classes.
Yeah.
Well, no, actually, their weight classes are different. I used
Their weight classes are 210, 230.
Yeah, no, I don't do those ones. I do
They're by kilos. I want to say it's like
I do
95,
54.76.
105.
Yeah, yeah. I just
Yeah.
do the 54.76 98 because that's just what everybody kind
And
of was
that's pretty
used to
standard
working with.
too. I think the only reason why USAA does I call them the IFA weight classes because it's like the world level weight classes. So if you go overseas, they're going to use kilos.
Yeah,
And ultimately, when you're competing at like a national level event, you're going to be doing the same thing. So
yeah.
I think that's kind of why
Well,
they
my
do it
thought
like
too
that.
is I had this thought. Okay, so what if we do for our big tournaments? Say there is ever like a really nice prize, really nice awards, and maybe some cash prizes. Do maybe we do the IFA weight classes versus not doing the WAF classes because they're kind of in between. So the guys pulling 98, they only got to you know cut to like 187 or 189 and then be a
Okay.
monster in that class versus having to cut to 76 to be a monster in that class. You know,
Yeah.
hmm. And then just do the regular other 5476 classes on all the other stuff. I don't know, maybe that might be a decent idea. The less
I
people
want to
have to cut,
see.
the more happy they are.
Yeah, absolutely. I love the IFA weight classes because I walk around at 230, so I don't have to cut. On a good day, I'll hit 232 on the scale because I drank 2 gallons of water. You know,
Mm-hmm.
I might have ate pizza the night before or something too, so I'm carb loaded up. For the most part, I'm anywhere from 228 to 230 walk around. So when I got to cut to 220, it's like, all right, I can do it. I hate doing it, but I can. And
Oh, nice. Matt Speakman said he got second Masters left. Awesome.
yeah,
Congratulations.
that's awesome.
Heck yeah, dude. I just realized that Matt was my age. Whenever we were setting up the match with Parker, I was on his Facebook and it said he was born in 84. I was like, dang, he's my age. I thought he was like 33, 34. That's what happens whenever people shave their face.
84. Where's that put you at? Like 40?
I'll be 40 next month.
Okay. Yeah.
Now, if I shave, then I'll look 35.
I'm
That's what
the
the wife
same
wants
way.
me to do.
There's no way I'm shaving this off. I'm gonna lose every match from here on out if I shave this beard.
They'd be like, aren't you in the teen classes?
Hey, buddy, juniors aren't pulling today. That
Yeah,
was
juniors are
yesterday.
born.
All right,
Yeah.
well,
Nice. So anyway, so Arizona State you went pretty good, dude. You lost to the Monsters, which
yeah,
was, you had a valiant fight against one of the best pullers in the world, in my opinion, so um I think even a fourth place, you might look at it as a loss, but my opinion, that's a win in my book, dude. If you can stop guys like that, dude, that's awesome. That's a win, you know.
It felt great. I felt great. I think another big thing too. I think your confidence needs to be through the roof. And I don't want to make people mistake that as cockiness either. When you prepare for something and you train for something and you know what you've put into it,
Yeah, you should feel
there's
ready.
there's absolutely no way I'm walking up to that table. I don't care who's across the table from me. You've trained and you've prepared and everything for that moment. You can't walk up there and go, "Oh, this guy's really good." So I already know. You can't put people on pedestals. I think if people
Yeah,
stopped putting people on pedestals so much, they would see completely different matches across the board.
yeah, I
Um,
agree with that.
I mean, I committed to several moves against Arson in that match that I probably would have never committed in if I wasn't confident. If I didn't
Hmm.
train for that match or train for that tournament and I didn't think that I was in that match before it even started.
Was he, whenever you were trying to go for the press against Arson, was he dragging back?
Are you talking in the strap or out of the
Yeah, in the
strap?
strap. Yeah, whenever you're
Okay,
in the
yeah.
strap.
So no, he wasn't necessarily dragging back. I probably shouldn't like I made a couple of mistakes there. I shouldn't have rushed the pin as much. I had great hand control.
It looked
I
like
had
it. Yeah,
great positioning and I felt
dude,
great.
I thought you were gonna peck deck and just start dragging like from here instead of pressing from here. It's just start dragging your
Yeah.
across your chest and then get it here and then press down from here.
Yeah,
And then
and I'm not gonna lie,
didn't
that's
happen.
kind of what I thought I did when I when I was transitioning. That's kind of the same thing I had in my mind. I was like, I'm doing like a John Brzenk style,
Yeah,
dragging over and getting him into my press lane. But when this is why I like recording everything. When I look back on film, I see that I kind of jumped the gun there. I should have kept my hand. I should have kept my pronator engaged. Instead, when I came up, I tried to just kind of bite in on
yeah,
him, and
saw that.
I
And
was
you
trying to
were
just
right in your shoulder line too. You didn't come in here with that. You
yeah.
were like here trying to push like this.
Yep, and I wasn't necessarily trying to like push down. I was more or less just kind of pushing my elbow across the
Correct. Yeah.
pad.
Yeah. That's
That way
yeah.
I could get a little more over. And the second I did, I got right. I mean, I had him at the pin pad. They called a foul, so then my hand touched my shoulder. I'll never know if that actually happened or not. In that moment, you don't know. I watch it
Right.
back on video, and I'm like, I don't see my hand touching my shoulder, but there's weird angles. It's I'm not going to argue with the ref. I'll sit there and, at that time, I'll be like, no, there's no way, to contest everything. Of course, when you have a dude that far from the pin pad,
Hmm.
yeah. But no, looking back at it, I have I don't disagree with how the refs called that match at all. I think the refs there were honestly fantastic compared to a lot of
Yeah.
events that I've seen refed, even at a higher level.
Yeah.
Um, and it's not easy. It's definitely not easy. I mean, in the setup of that match, I want to say it took them every bit of 10 minutes between strap matches to get everything set right because we had Arson kind of climbing a little bit in the setup, and I kept telling him, hey, I can't see my knuckle, and then I would kind of lift my elbow up off the pad and tell him, I'm not going to do this, and
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah, you got
You
to fight
shouldn't have
though.
done. Never
I
start
mean,
unfair.
no, no, you can't, especially you can't let somebody like that have everything they want. There's no way that's ever going to benefit you. So
Never.
he knew what he was doing.
Never.
I may have
You know,
had about that much of a clue of what
even
he
at
was doing,
that
but I knew it
level,
wasn't
dude.
good.
At that level, I wouldn't even agree with even. I would complain and complain until I got some sort of an advantage at all. Like, give me something.
Yeah, so I made him switch that strap out. So they tightened the strap. I don't know if you noticed that from strap match 1 to strap match 2. There was a different strap there. So after strap match 1, I told him to tighten the strap back up and because it got super loose. So they took it off and then they put it back on and I was like, okay, like tighten the strap up. And he said it is tight. And I kind of just lifted my hand up a little bit and I saw the buckle just kind of move. I was like,
Mm,
we can't. There's no way we can pull like that. I mean, that would have just been a shit show. And they said, all right, straps junk. We need to get another strap. And then they found, the one that was just sitting in a USAA bag or something. They grabbed it and it was fine. It was tight. But I mean, if I look back at like how I would have arm wrestled a year ago, even a year ago, I wouldn't have been like, okay, you know. this doesn't feel right. I don't want to do this. Um, it's crazy how much you can learn in short periods of time.
Oh
And
yeah,
it's through pooling. I think for anybody who wants to, get better within the sport, um, different arms, different hands, different competitions, everything of that nature. I don't think you're ever going to get better lifting the same weight. You're not ever going to get stronger lifting the same weight. You're not ever going to get stronger doing the exact same exercises. You got to switch things up. You got to figure out something else. And yeah, that's another big reason I wanted to go to Arizona State. I knew that there was, I was 99% sure I wasn't going to pull anybody that I've pulled before there.
yeah, exactly.
I think the only person that I saw there that I really knew, like, I knew like Max Kapperman, guys like that, but guys that I have seen at tournaments several
Yeah,
times, I think was Roger. And I've never even pulled Roger. So, it was one of those things where, you walk into something like that kind of blind, and it's the best thing. You don't know how these guys are.
yeah.
So,
And another thing too, I think whenever you're going up against those really high level guys, your tendencies to uh, hyper focus in on little tiny aspects of it is like blown out through the roof. Like you understand that the littlest thing can make or break that match for
oh
you.
yeah,
It's
yeah,
not like just pulling us guys from Ohio. So at
yeah,
your level,
absolutely. If that would
now
have,
from now on for you, it's going to be so pinpoint, needing to be exactly what it needs to be because your opponents are so high level that they're going to exploit the littlest tiniest little advantage that they can against you.
yeah, and there's things that like even I'll do that I don't notice I'm doing because, like, I mean, like I said, your body is always gonna, gravitate towards its, natural comfort. So when I'm sitting there at center of the table, I don't notice if I kind of supinate in, that much. That much is a ton. Like,
Oh yeah.
when you do that, you feel it. But like, when I'm at the table and they're setting their hands and everything, I don't notice I do that. Now I go to a rest grip 99.9% of the time against these high level guys. There's always the small chance that I'm, feel great and I have everything I want and this guy doesn't know how to set up, even though he's super strong, that I might just,
Mm-hmm.
roll with it. But 99% of the time, if I'm pulling somebody that I think is gonna, be a huge problem, I'm not letting I'm not letting that match start without the ref setting everything perfect. So
Yeah, exactly. And man, I tell you what, there's refs out there, that either aren't willing to or don't know how to set everything exactly the way that it should be.
and it becomes a problem. Um, I think there's a lot of high level. I'm not going to name off the events or
No,
anything, but
no,
I
no.
think there's a lot of high level events that don't have high enough level refs for the competition they're trying to bring in. And that becomes an issue. I mean, especially if you're putting money on the line, you're going to have people
Oh
traveling
yeah.
across the country. If your refs
Yeah,
aren't legit,
exactly.
and
Oh my goodness.
yeah,
Yeah.
this becomes a big issue.
Yeah, because that's a big factor, for a lot of guys, whether or not they're going to travel to an event or not, is who is refing.
Yeah.
Especially if it's only like one or two tables. Okay, who are the refs? If the refs
Yeah, and
aren't
that's kind of how I pick
too,
my events now too. I mean, I'm
yeah.
kind of that same way. I've had such good refing now that that I kind of look back at more of the local, and I'm not to say that, you're even a local level ref because I think you're a very fair ref. I think you know what you're doing. But
Mhm.
you know what I'm talking about, kind of the
Oh yeah.
guy who throws on the ref t-shirt that promoted the event that day
Hmm.
that
Yeah.
doesn't really know how to ref, but he didn't want to pay for a ref, so he's there
Right.
doing it.
Right.
And
I would rather see that happen than the event not happen at all.
absolutely.
Well,
Yeah, I
but then
mean,
again, on a safety standpoint, I mean, you really should have experienced, certified refs. I mean, just from a safety standpoint, man, you take so much of a risk not having higher level referees.
I can't even really watch like it honestly. I kind of sit there and shake when I watch even novices pull now because I see the just the position that they get in and their entire body's shaking. their arms, their stabilizers aren't built up enough yet. Their tendons are still kind of green, so their entire body is shaking and they're kind of wiggling around. And it's like, oh my God, it takes 7 pounds to just, spiral that humerus. So it's,
Hmm.
and once you've seen that happen several times and heard it happen several times, it's not something that you can just sit there and be like, okay, yeah, he broke his arm. Like I mean, for me, I'm not good with blood. I'm not good with with bones breaking, cuts, things of that nature. Unless it's
Right.
like on me, yeah, I'm not good with it. I get queasy. So if I ever hear arm breaks happen, I heard a strap break at Arizona State, and I immediately like jumped out of the chair. I was like, oh God, that sounded awful.
Uh,
So yeah, it's a strap, and I was like, oh okay, cool.
yeah. Thank you, Jesus.
Now the bicep tears don't get to me as bad as they do some people. I don't I maybe it's because I don't see that initially. I kind of see it
Right.
after the fact
Yeah,
versus
you
like an
can't
arm
hear it.
break. Yeah. I mean Dave Shays, that I think you heard like a I don't know, it sounded like a tendon popped when that happened.
Ugh.
But but that dude's crazy lean so often, like all the time. He's just crazy
Mhm.
lean that, if you notice a lot of these guys that have these bicep tears, a lot of them are leaner dudes, really lean dudes. And
What
I
do
don't know
you
if they
think the
cut weight.
correlation is?
I think hydration is a huge factor. I think hydration is the biggest factor when it comes to recovery. When it comes
Something
to
true.
That's why I
Yeah,
think water loading, even like when I cut, I tighten my diet up and I get within about 5 pounds, and then the rest will kind of be a dehydration. I'm not gonna dehydrate myself 10, 12, 15 pounds. I'm not
no,
gonna
no.
do it. It's
Shoot,
too much stress.
you can lose 5 pounds overnight.
You
Just by
can.
not having a big dinner and not drinking a bunch of water.
Yeah, I mean, you cut sodium out of your diet a little bit so you don't hold as much water, and then you just tighten your diet up. I mean, I eat a lot because I work a physical labor job.
Yeah.
I go to the gym 5 days a week. I've got a little 2-year old I got to chase around the house.
Oh yeah, you got to chase that little
Burn a
baby
lot of
around.
calories. Yeah, so I eat a lot. So when my body's used to seeing, I don't even know, probably 3, 4,000 calories a day, maybe more on certain days,
True.
and then it drops to 1,500, fourteen
Yeah.
hundred, the weight just falls off. And
What
then
now? What's the protein amount looking like in your diet?
roughly I try to keep it about a gram per pound of body weight. Now I'm not real big on like sitting here and tracking everything to a T.
Right.
Um, I eat a lot of food. I don't drink, protein drinks or anything. It's a lot of meat. I have a smoker. I love smoking meat on the smoker. So
Nice,
yeah.
nice.
So yeah, a lot of steak, a lot of burgers, a lot of chicken. Just started kind of recently doing pork chops. I like pork loins, those are good. Um, a lot of greens, a lot of vegetables. When I'm cutting, kind of throw a lot of fruits in. I do eat a lot of carbs too. And yeah, there's no way I can do the whole war on carbs thing with what I do for
Right,
a living. It's just I wouldn't have
right,
any energy for the day. And
right.
ultimately it has to kind of be that stair step too, because without having my job, making money, would be able to fly to Arizona and compete. So
Yeah,
I kind of have to
exactly.
look at
That's the
that and
most important thing. None of us
yeah, if
are
it,
making a living off of this, so it's just
right.
a glorified hobby.
Yeah, if it
But
causes me to be a little heavier than I want to be and the cut sucks a little more, well, it is what it is.
it is what it is. Yeah,
There's
I agree with you
risks.
on that. I agree with you
But
on that. That's why I walk around at like 200 pounds. So in order to pull 98s, I just gotta watch what I eat dinner for Thursday night, weigh in Friday, bone pull Saturday, or just walk in Saturday. It's no big deal. I don't think it'd be any issue for me to even lose 2 pounds overnight for anything. So,
no, I mean,
but
really, you could just eat, you could drop 100 calories the week of, and
mhm.
3 pounds is just it's gonna fall.
The
Now
most
you won't
I've lost
sustain
one
that,
day,
but
I've lost 11 pounds in one day um, just by skipping food on a Thursday. So Wednesday was my last meal, and most of them,
you got to
most of
do it
those meals,
fast.
like prior to that, was normal meals, just whatever. but I've lost from Wednesday evening would have been my last meal, and then Thursday, beginning Thursday morning, it was just water and coffee until like 2 o'clock p.m. And then after that, it was just a little bit of water up until like 6 or 7, and then no water until the next morning. And then shoot, I was 11 pounds to the low from Wednesday night to Friday morning.
Yeah, that's crazy. And I mean, and that's kind of how your body works too. A lot of people, not everybody's going to have that. If somebody fasts for a whole day, um, or starts to kind of cut calories out. Like I have to be careful. If I cut too many calories out, my body will kind of try to hold on to weight. Um,
Mm,
if I
I
kind
gotcha.
of eat the same time, the same, so I eat, a big lunch and a big dinner majority of the time. I'll eat something small for breakfast here and there. But
Now,
not a
do you
crazy
eat
big
breakfast too?
breakfast.
Do
Not a
you
very
eat
big
breakfast?
breakfast. I might, eat a hard boiled egg or something, and
Mm-hmm.
then I go to work. I'm just not a
Gotcha.
morning eater,
Right.
but a
I've
big lunch,
just
big
seen
dinner.
so much going on right now with the disadvantages of actually eating breakfast.
Are there
You know, as
disadvantages to it?
well as far as the amount of time that your body is eating up the fat stores, the glycogen and all that stuff. So like from the night before, you know, if we're sleeping, 6 to 8 hours or whatever, right? Your body goes into a fasting state, right? And if
Yeah,
we get up and then we automatically start, pounding food into our bodies, our bodies don't end up having the opportunity to utilize the fat stores that are actually in our body. So we just pound on and we just level
what do they call
on.
that? Like a metabolic state when your body kind of
Right,
goes into that.
right.
Yeah,
So that's why intermittent fasting is so valuable, and fasting in general is valuable. It's a gift from God, really. And you know
that's how we were
it
designed. I
keeps
mean, that's
people.
from
Exactly. We
through
weren't
through and
designed
through through
to
nature.
eat every single,
No,
3 meals a day. It's not what we were designed to do. We were designed to, hunt and gather for our food. And,
eat
we
when
weren't,
eat when the job's
you,
done. I mean,
yeah,
that's
you ate when the job was done, had to work for your food and stuff. Now it's just, you see what it is. So, um,
yeah,
that's why we're all fat. And that's why the food pyramid is created to really keep us fat,
yeah,
but
yeah. You can't go to the grocery store and walk out with a healthy basket and a cheap bill. It's
seriously,
it's never going to be like
seriously.
that. If you do get a somewhat healthy basket with a somewhat cheap bill, a lot of those foods are going to be crazy processed too. So it's
Oh,
still not healthy.
yeah.
I mean, there's still carcinogens within those foods that you don't realize, and
Mm-hmm.
the FDA kind of puts their stamp on everything, and that doesn't mean shit. So, but
Yeah. Dude,
but
I've been talking to the wife lately about what is it? I just did it today. I had like some Taco Bell, and like the other day I had like some pizza uh, from the gas station, and man, I just felt
was it a
like total
Casey's
garbage.
pizza?
No, it was like 7-Eleven pizza.
Oh, I
And
don't know about that. Casey's
dude, I
pizza's
just
pretty
felt
good,
like
man.
I totally felt like garbage, and I think um how do you say it? What's the word that I was trying to think of? It's intolerant. Crap. Whenever
Lactose.
you eat that. No, 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 no. Whenever you eat something and then the sugar smacks you into your system and it makes you lethargic. Um, I can't remember.
Oh,
It,
yeah, I don't
it
know.
it's gonna smack me in the face whenever I remember it. But
You remember right
any,
before you go to sleep
yeah,
tonight. That's when
exactly.
everything
But
hits me.
anytime I eat a bunch of carbs and all that stuff, my body just gets shocked with all that
Yeah.
those sugars and stuff, and then you would think that you would get energy from sugar. No, it does the opposite, and then dude, I just get so tired, and I feel just like I'm wasted. After a large meal, like I had four those cheap burritos from Taco Bell today, and Dude, I just felt like crap after that.
Yeah.
Just total crap.
Your body's fighting for fuel, and it's just not, you're
It's
you're
not the
putting
correct fuel.
putting diesel
I
into a
told my
gas
wife.
motor.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
just told it was just yeah, it was bad fuel. And I told the wife today, I said, I'm thinking I'm gonna have to start really watching exactly what I'm putting in my body because this stuff is just not agreeing with my system now.
I've kind of got a little routine. I don't watch what I eat necessarily from like a, healthy, like health freak standpoint.
Right.
I really follow what I eat for my harder days in the gym, I guess I should say. So like I'm carb loading like crazy tonight. Tomorrow's a big bench day for me. I train my bench religiously. I think it does help with arm wrestling. I mean, whenever you're going sideways, you feel your chest engage. If you're
Mm-hmm.
able to move with bench press is a huge compound movement. So if you're able to move heavier weights, I don't know. My bench is going up. I'm getting better at arm wrestling. If it's not broke, don't
Yeah.
fix it. So I hate to throw anything out, without knowing exactly. I don't
Yeah.
think I'll ever know exactly what
I've
makes me
I've
a better arm
seen
wrestler.
I've seen more and more, and I've been training people in this discipline is keeping everything here, right? Here
Yep.
and here, so here, and then you're never gonna be able to start exactly like this, right? You're
Right.
not gonna be able to start like this, so you're probably gonna be starting, versus, probably like this, So, and then if you get hit, somebody brings you out here, what do you need to bring somebody back this way? You need some
Yeah,
pecs,
you need chest. And
You
people
need
make
some
an
chest.
argument to that. They say, well, you can train, like a pec deck or I don't think isolating that muscle group is the way to do it. I think that your body responds to resistance. So whatever lift you're able to put the most resistance on your body with, which for me, with my chest, it's bench press. Um, I feel like bench pressing, you know, low threes for reps consistently is a lot better than putting 70, 50 to 70 pounds on a fly machine and doing that for a religious amount of reps. Now we're talking strength training, not talking crazy endurance training. Of course,
Right,
your pec is going to have a lot more endurance than your pronator does,
right.
and that's but that's kind of how I follow, all my routines there with what I'm eating. I know like the heavier days, like so Sunday, for instance, Sunday's kind of a recovery day. It's an active recovery day. It's just a big blood flow day. I hit every muscle group, and it's all just to push blood everywhere. And then I come back
Nice.
on Tuesday to, Tuesday is kind of starting my week, even though Sunday is technically starting. Sunday is kind of my cool down, if you will, to kind of just move around, get everything going. Blood's a natural healer. So if you're able to push
Yep,
an excessive amount of blood, then that's great. And
yep.
so Tuesdays I go heavy, Tuesday, Wednesday, Friday, Saturday, and then Sunday's the day that I come in there and just kind of let everything, kind of start to heal itself. Monday's a off day, and what else? Thursday's an off day for me. But
How many days before a competition are you resting?
7.
7 days completely
Yep.
with
So
no movements.
five, 5 to 7. I won't go anything. So I won't arm wrestle for at least 2 weeks before a tournament. So
Gotcha.
like if I were to compete, so I mean, I guess for instance, I'm competing June 22nd. Yeah, we're in June, right? Yeah. June
Yeah.
22nd at Gus's. I have a right-handed super match with Aaron Baldwin. He's from Arizona. And then I'm gonna pull the left supers class there. And I kind of have that time frame perfect. I pulled June, was it June 1st, June 2nd? I pulled
Right.
one of those days, whichever day it was. And then, not pulling this weekend, not pulling the next weekend, I'm pulling the weekend after that. So
Yeah.
realistically, I could pull this weekend and still be good for,
Hmm.
June 22nd. But I don't like my arm to be um, necessarily in combat, because if you look at the time it takes for your tendons and ligaments to completely heal, it'll blow everybody's mind. Like it's not,
Oh
your tendons and ligaments aren't healing in 3 4 weeks. It takes a
yeah.
lot longer. I'm not going in there with the thought process of having my tendons and ligaments perfect, but I want them to feel good. I don't
Hmm.
want my arm on fire
Yeah.
after one match.
It seems like
Um,
for me, personally, the more time I take in between competing versus, that last practice, if it's beyond 2 weeks, like the mind to hand relationship is not there. It just
Okay.
not, for some odd reason, for me, I feel disconnected the longer I don't arm wrestle. So that's why, if I don't pull, the week before, and then that creates like a 16-day window, I try to keep heavier lifts, you know, up until like 9 days or 10 days prior to the competition. And then I
Uh,
slowly bring it down to like bands within
yeah.
like 5 days before the competition. And then, you got 2, 3 days rest, and then you got your water cut and or whatever. And then, you reload. That's kind of what I've been kind of going with, because if I
Yeah. I
don't
guess.
bowl like 2 practices before, and then if I don't, do that, dude, I just feel like it's like, what am I doing? Like, it just doesn't feel correct to me.
Well, yeah, and it's all relative. I mean, everybody knows their body. Everybody's body's different. Um, like for me, there's no way I can compete at my best, my best possible for that day. There's no way that I can mentally be there if my arm is beat up, and there's no way that I'm physically going to be there if I've practiced more consistently. So I guess I lied. It's more like 6 days because I do the kind of my Sunday blood flow workout, and then I'll take Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. That's five
What up,
days, and then
Mike?
full Saturday. So that's the last day in the gym. Last heavy day in the gym will be more like 8 days because that's my Friday lift. Um, and this has all kind of changed pretty frequently within my first couple years of arm wrestling. I'm on my third year of arm wrestling this year, and I've got myself into what I think is a good groove.
Yeah.
Um, but
Yeah. By
and
year
until
three, after year three, I see a lot of guys. You kind of get into your own little way of doing things, and you understand how your body responds. And
yeah,
yeah,
and
I
everybody's different.
definitely, yeah.
I think Todd Hutchings says that he trains all the way up till he competes. And everybody's different. Everybody's body can take. Like Tim Lewis will kind of bench press on a Friday and then or a Thursday and go in there and
Right.
dude will be benching 4+ on a Thursday, go in there and compete Saturday. There's no way I could. And I've
Okay.
done things of this nature before within my first 2 years. Because your first year, especially when you start understanding a little bit, you will get on the table with a non-puller. Like I had a friend over, and I was like, "Dude, you gotta feel how strong my left arm is." This was like a Wednesday. I pulled strongest badge in Missouri just a few days later. And I was like, "Dude, you gotta feel how strong my left arm is. Watch this," and I just kind of slow pulled him. I think I did it like 3 or 4 times, right? At that time, not realizing that those 3 to 4 pulls were everything contracted and everything 100% 3 to 4 times. And then Thursday, Friday hit, Saturday I competed. After my first match there, my arm was blown up. I mean, it was just
Yeah.
awful. And I sat back and immediately I was like, dude, I think it's because I pulled on Wednesday. I was like, why did I make that mistake? And
Yeah.
you kind of you got to make those mistakes. You got to learn from them. If you don't learn from
Mhm.
them, it's an issue.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, and kind of another thing leading back to like I said, being peck, having strong chest for arm wrestling is great. I think having a strong back, having strong lats is crazy
Oh yeah.
important too, along with your rear delt. And
Yeah.
because I'll kind of start like for me, it's not really comfortable to have my elbow real close to me. I'll kind of start with almost my elbow a little further out.
Hmm.
Like if I'm gonna pull outside, especially,
Yeah.
I'll be a little further out. So that way, right off the rip, everything is engaged, and I'm lat dragging as I'm fighting
Right.
for position right away.
Yeah.
And within that midst of, what, an inch, 2 inches of you dragging somebody back, you'll feel like a small little door open. Like there's a lane
Oh
here,
yeah.
there's a lane here, there's a lane here. You
Hmm.
feel that small little door, and then like I'm a hit puller. So as soon as I feel that door, I'm hitting.
Yeah.
And in that match with Arson, I never pulled like I had before, and I kind of felt like a little door, so I hit, and then I dragged a little more, felt a door, hit, and it was kind of like surge, 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 and then it was okay, commit to this lane, go. And
Yeah.
it's really weird how all that stuff, because like I said, I never pulled like that before. I don't really, sit there and kind of, bam, 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 surge hit like that. It's more or less off the ready go. I've got a huge hit.
Hmm.
Um, but against guys like that, I know if I were to just, immediately go straight for what lane I thought felt good, it's getting shut down. I mean, you
Right.
can't. You're giving that dude too much real estate, too much to work with there. If you just try to commit off of something right away,
Right.
um, and kind of having a plan B too. I in that match, the second strap match, I kind of got, and I'm not even gonna say I really got outside of my shoulder. I might have gotten about that much outside of my shoulder, but the second that he was able to supinate and kind of turn that match inside, my hand was in a losing position. I didn't
Hmm.
have my shoulder connected, properly, and
Right.
that just, you know,
Yeah, because instead of being in here, you're here.
yep, yep. I
You
want
know.
I want to say I was like, more. I would have been more comfortable probably about right here, and I was right
Hmm.
here,
Yeah,
and it
exactly.
made all the world of difference because he
Isn't
applied
it
just a
wild?
little bit of
Just
down pressure, and
yep,
bam, yep.
crazy.
It's wild
That's
how
what,
that
man. I
works.
wish that the masses could understand the little minute movement differences. You know, it's just they can't see it. You know,
And
and
you
that's
can't,
what
and you almost
that's
can't
what's
point it
tough.
out either,
Yeah, that's what's tough,
unless you
man,
have a
about
mind
pointing
for it.
out all this stuff to people. You know, like um, the people that don't necessarily know what they're looking at. You know, being able to get them to understand it. It's like trying to get them to understand Chinese. You know, it's just
Yeah,
it's not going to happen unless they study it, and that's a
yeah,
bummer, man. I wish
and
that they
that's
could
why,
understand what they're looking at.
sometimes you need several different people to kind of give you the same lesson just through a different lens, um, or not through a different lens, I guess, but with a different microphone, I guess I should say. You kind of need people to tell you things differently. If you're not catching on to how this guy says it, okay, well, if that guy explains it the exact same way, but he kind of gives you a little, I don't know. I just feel like some people can explain better than others, and some people understand well,
Yeah,
from different people. It's really weird. It's kind of like teachers in school. You could have two great math teachers, but this one, this group of students is going to catch on from that teacher, and vice
yeah,
versa.
hmm, yeah. I had math teachers like that. Yep, one I could learn from really great, and then the other one just, man,
And math is the perfect
I was like,
example.
get me out of
It's-
this class. It
yeah. Yep.
was crazy. I was like, dude, this teacher is not very good because she
No.
didn't teach the way that I like to be taught because I got taught by the other guy.
Yeah, and sometimes you kind of need to see that too. You kind of need to see how you kind of need something explained to you that way, and you don't understand it at all, because then the second it clicks, you understand the way that that teacher was saying it to begin with. You're like,
Yeah,
okay.
yeah.
But now you have a different perspective on things, and I think having different perspective on things is a great thing.
Hmm.
There's a thousand ways to skin a cat. I don't think there's
Yeah.
any one true right way, and that's the same with arm wrestling. It's the same with life in general.
Hmm. Dude, I've been explaining, the whole why I teach a certain way, to new guys. First thing is safety, but you know, I'm trying to explain to these guys, the way that I'm teaching them is going to allow them to have that light bulb aha moment a whole lot
Hmm.
faster than if they didn't understand any of this, for the first year. So that
Yeah.
that light bulb might go off if they, did it on their own. The light bulb might go off at maybe month 9, maybe month 10 after they start. But if I can kind of guide them in a certain direction and explain things in a certain way, maybe that light bulb might go off in month 4 or 5. You know,
Yeah. Yeah.
i.e. Parker Wise, dude. That man, that boy is so good, and we got a hold of him, and dude, he was like 2 3 months in, and then dude, just his trajectory went, from like this to like that because he
Yeah.
he was able to adhere to all the information that he was getting thrown at is super impressive. Super impressive.
Yeah, that's awesome. It's really cool to see when people catch on to these things too. It was awesome for me to see that I caught on to things when I did. because then it's just, you'll have light bulbs just flickering 24/7. Like, okay, I understand this now. I understand that. You watch these matches
Mhm.
back and you're like, dude, why didn't I, why did I do that? And then bam, now you know
Right.
not to do that again. And watching it happen to somebody for the first time, like the first time somebody's able to, I don't know, engage their pronator and just they're in disbelief that they're actually able to figure out how to top roll if it's a hook dominant puller or vice versa. Um, when
Yeah.
they're kind of setting up at the table, and they feel the height difference, because when you first get in arm wrestling, you don't understand the height difference at all. I don't care. Yeah, I never did.
Mhm.
There's a lot of people that
They
don't. There's
all
a lot
the
of people
new
that
guys,
still
they
don't.
just grab like this.
Yeah.
They grab
Yep.
like that. I'm like, okay, stop.
The
Let me show
riser
you.
is huge. The
Huge.
riser is something huge that I don't think, your first, like a lot of people's first year, they're not going to actually catch on to feeling that. They're going to
Mhm.
know, like, okay, I need to keep this engaged. But until they're in a match where they feel their risers engaged and they feel themselves taking somebody else's riser away, then
Yeah.
it's like, oh man, like, this is a lot more
Mhm.
important than I thought it was. And yeah, it's awesome. I do think that there's just a thousand ways to teach this sport, and it's so hard
Dude,
to get
I've
something to
been
click for people.
really understanding the last year is the importance of body manipulation. You know, okay, being strong is good and everything, and knowing how to pull is fine. You know, it's great. You can understand so much about the what happens from here up.
Hmm.
You know, and I delved into what happens from here down. You know, what happens from here down affects what happens from here up. You
Yep.
know, I've been really pounding on everybody keeping their hips in certain positions relative to
Oh
where
yeah.
their elbow is at on the pad. You know, and it has definitely I've seen firsthand. You know, when somebody manipulates their body in a certain direction. You know, I've seen the match go from a losing position to a winning position just by moving their feet and moving their hips. You know,
Yeah.
it's so awesome to watch, man. It's like a ballet almost.
Yeah, understanding how the body works is, I think, super vital within any sport, but especially arm wrestling. Understanding the way your hand, wrist, and forearm and arm, can not only take away somebody else's power, but also, have power taken away from you. I want to say I drilled, like I watched videos back and forth on losses and was like, why did I lose this match? And I just sat there and I was like, okay, my index knuckle, every time it gets faced away from me, horrible spot. Whether you're in a deep hook, whether
Right.
you're, trying to go sideways, whatever it is, anytime your index knuckle starts kind of drifting away from you, you're losing power. When you're supinated, your bicep is engaged. That's fine. The second
But
that
nothing
your
else is.
thumb, yeah, exactly. And the second your thumb turns away just a little bit more, your bicep loses 10% like that. It's like
Mhm.
you kind of have a little there's kind of a needle there. Like you have 100% bicep, and then the further you go this way, you gain a little more, of course, when you have pronation, a little less bicep. There's a lot more involved.
Yeah.
The second that you go towards the other end of that needle, you lose so much, and it happens like that. And then if somebody
Yeah.
hits, it's like, okay, like that. There's no reason I should have lost to that dude. You sit back and think that, and then you look at your hand positioning. And like I don't care if you want to be a top roller, a hooker, a presser, a flop presser, even at that. I don't care. The way that your hand, is positioned is 9 times out of 10 going to give you the outcome of the match. When somebody's in a war, especially. That's why the Kings move is so vital. I mean, when you see people in the Kings move, they're never palm up.
Right.
I think that people take that the wrong way too. When they hear palm up, they think just, okay, they don't want to be palm up. So they think that if they're cupped in, they're not palm up.
Oh, they're
You're
definitely
still in a
palm up.
bad spot.
Yeah.
Like, it's not a hook that you want to be in. That's more of a defensive, you know, you're trying to
Yeah.
buy time, find another lane style
Right.
hook.
Yeah.
Not something you never want to be driving sideways like that. That's a
Right.
painful, horrible thing to do.
Oh, yeah.
But and it's
Yeah.
happened to
I learned
everybody.
my lesson. I learned my
Yeah.
lesson from that one.
Never thought I'd be, flop pressing anybody ever before, back when I first started arm wrestling. I was like, I'm never going to be a flop presser. It
Right.
happens. You get in that spot where you're like, okay, I was looks like I'm flop
It's
pressing today.
either this or give up, one of the
Yeah.
two, because the
Yeah.
lanes, the doors, certain doors are closed. And if that door is kind of creaked inch open, hey, you got to go for it, because those other doors are closed. And what are you going to do? Just sit in the hall the entire time? No.
Exactly. I think every arm wrestler, and if you look at every great arm wrestler, they're okay. They might be a crazy good top roller, crazy good high hooker, crazy good deep dragging hook style puller, crazy good presser, but they all know how to top roll, hook, press,
Yeah.
flat press. They know how to do all these movements because they have to.
Yeah.
You're not going to
Well,
get in a war with somebody who's,
i.e., you can see the evolution of Kevin from
yeah,
whenever he was just a hooker to whenever he said, "All right, screw this, I gotta get a top roll," and then he went from, you know, being not only just being the number one guy in Ohio, but moving up the national level because he engaged his riser. He got a pronator, and everything. He evolved, with
yeah,
the top roll. Because everybody at that, not everybody, I'm just saying that at that point he was able to be top rolled. Now, not so much. He
right.
might lose his hand, but he's got his pronation engaged and he's sitting there and he's still pronating,
Oh yeah.
even though he's
And I don't
lost
think
his
people
hand.
understand that. Like your hand can be busted back. But I mean,
Yeah,
back to that index knuckle being towards you. If I still have this,
yeah,
but
exactly.
you've got pressure in my fingers. You don't have pressure here though. I will drag this all day long. Like
Mm-hmm.
I have so much engaged right now versus, if I was kind of the other way. You watch a lot of people don't understand with Tim Lewis, they think he has a weak pronator. The dude will have his hand busted completely back and he is flop pressing. He's not flop pressing you like this. He is
Yeah,
flop pressing you like that. His pronator
yeah,
is heavily involved.
yep.
And
You wait
it's not
until Tim gets this. Wait until he gets this. Oh my goodness.
he's crazy strong. I mean,
Yeah.
it's going to be a night and day difference.
Oh, it's going to be
And
insane. Like,
he's coming
I
down to
just want Tim to
practice.
be able to contain and roll this way.
Yeah.
Just
So
contain and roll this way. Like
me and
he
Tim have
was
been
going to be
talking.
a
We're going to start
monster.
developing, kind of working on and developing a hit for him. Kind
Yeah,
of turn him, take him from that defensive style, absorbing everything puller to an
yeah,
offensive. I'm bringing the fucking
exactly.
heat style puller because
Yeah,
when you
he's
have
got
that
to
kind of
have it.
power, it's there.
Exactly. He's going
You
to be a
know,
monster if he can develop that. A
and I
monster
told him that that's the
because
level.
that's going to
That's the
make his
level
defense
difference.
even better. You
Oh yeah,
know.
if you get in even in a losing, not a losing position, I guess, but a defensive position with, you know, good hand positioning, it's crazy. Like
Oh
you
yeah.
can sit there all day like that.
Hmm. And
But
that's one good thing about Tim is his body manipulation and body positioning. He jumps right into the perfect body position for where his elbow is on the table. So he already has that. I mean, he's been doing this forever, so I would assume that anybody at that point in their career would have
and
that. But
that'll forever be his desperation move. He's not a king's move puller. His
correct.
forever desperation move is going to be that pronated flop wrist press. And I say that, and people think I'm crazy when I tell them it's a pronated flop wrist press. He is pronating like crazy through. That's why my hand, when I'm top rolling him, isn't here. It's here.
Hmm.
Like he's pronating like crazy. It's not. It's not
Yeah,
easy to
you're
pin
both
him
you're
with his
both
hand busted
fighting
back.
both fighting like this
Yeah,
instead of like this.
exactly. And
Man.
a lot of
And
people think
people
I
don't,
top
man,
roll
it's crazy
people.
that people, I mean, like we just said, if people understood what they were seeing, their minds
Yeah.
would be blown. Like,
Yeah, that's what I think's hilarious when people say, "Oh, well, you just don't know." People say this all the time about pulling Tim. You just don't know the way to beat him. There's a way to pull him. Yeah, be fucking stronger than him in certain lanes that he's not stronger in. You need
right.
to be able to take away his pronation, not just his hand. I don't give a shit about these four fingers. I care about, mainly, well, these two a lot. Because if you're not
Hmm.
able to put good pressure up here in these fingers and turn his wrist out, If you turn his wrist out, he's not and nobody's flop wrist pressing with the wrist turned away from him. That's,
Right. Exactly.
insanely impossible. It doesn't even make sense. But if you're just taking somebody's hand back like this, I mean, me and Landon Anderson had a war where my hand buckled a little bit. It's
Hmm.
buckling is not a big deal. My focus wasn't on my cup as much as what it was on back pressure, pronation, like crazy. Keep my riser
Hmm.
engaged.
Right.
And there's no cookie cutter way to just beat him. It's not like you're not going to sit there and just open a book up and read, the first chapters, how to beat Tim Lewis in arm wrestling. It's the same way with everybody. Be stronger in lanes, that they're able to defend.
Yeah.
If he's able to defend this lane, be a little bit stronger than his defense, and you're going to win. And it's just arm wrestling in general.
Hmm.
If you want to beat somebody like, if you want to beat, I don't know, I need good examples. I don't know. If you want to beat a crazy strong hook puller, don't pull him in a hook.
Right.
But with that being said, you can still pull that guy in a hook if you just can get in a better position. It's all about position, and it's that much. It's not crazy. You don't need to be at a crazy advantage. You just need a little bit more than what they have. And
Exactly. Man, I tell you,
but,
there's a great valid points. You know.
and a lot of people
Um.
aren't gonna understand,
Yeah.
but they will in time. They'll kind of look back and be like, okay, that entire conversation makes a lot more sense now that I'm a little more seasoned. And it's
Right.
great to see that, not only to see the progress you make on the table, but the progress you make mentally within the sport is just as, satisfying, I think.
Yeah. Hey, everybody, in the chat, if you guys got any questions for Cody, go ahead and put them in the chat, and then we'll ask him here pretty soon. Um, but yeah, a thought that I had also was like, if you ever watch chess, you ever watch any chess at all?
I've seen,
Um,
I don't, not a crazy big chess
right.
guy, but
So the high level guys, they can understand what's happening on a chessboard without even looking at it. They can be blindfolded and understand that, this piece is on this square. Okay, where's the fight coming from? This person moved this to there, and it's the same thing on the table. It is a massive chess match, you
yeah.
know and it's constantly putting pressure on your opponent and seeing where their weaknesses are and exploiting it. It's the exact same thing in
Oh,
chess.
absolutely.
Exact same thing. If you get one piece of their defense broken down, then you exploit it. It's the exact same thing. The strategy is so similar. It's crazy. You know.
Yeah, I get what you're saying 100%. I mean, and it's crazy that people, and I'm not hating on anybody, but it's crazy that people don't understand that.
Yeah.
But I say that with me, the first year and a half I was in the sport, I didn't understand the same thing. I thought it
Yeah.
was just, I'm a
By year
strong top
three, it
roller.
starts clicking
That's,
really good.
yeah. And that's when you really understand that you need to develop more. Like I was a strong top roller when I first started arm wrestling. I had no hook. I,
Right.
just didn't have any inside. And I understood after getting my ass whipped by a few top rollers that, you know what, if I had a strong enough hook, I could beat that guy and not have to worry about that. And then
Caleb
you
said
get
Billy
your
start
ass
training
whipped.
blindfolded. Then surprisingly, I've done that. I've just yeah, I've done. I've just closed my eyes and started pulling. You know what I mean? And then you have to understand where you're at. It's like blood sport, right?
Yeah.
You remember that movie? He closed his eyes. He understands where his opponent is at. You can feel so much just by. You don't have to look at your opponent to understand where they're going. You know?
No, just like it's the same way with the elbow pad. You don't look at the elbow pad to make sure your elbow's still on it. You just know that 7x7 and your lanes that you're pulling in, you just know that you're trained to pull on that 7x7.
Yeah.
So you're not looking at it. And it's the same way with a basketball player dribbling down the court. They're so used to that. They're not watching them dribble, they're not watching them dribble the ball.
Right.
It's within every sport you're gonna have that. And I think it's just I think arm wrestling is just a crazy massive learning curve for a lot of people.
Mm-hmm.
Super simple, And you look at it and once you understand it, you're like, dude, this stuff is stupid simple. But until you
It takes you
understand it,
3 years
it's
to understand it.
crazy complicated. Yeah.
Yeah.
But when you
Once
sit
that
there and
light bulb goes on, man, it's awesome. It's awesome to see. I love watching
yeah.
arm wrestlers progress from the novice to the amateur to the pro, you know. Like it is
Oh,
so
absolutely.
rewarding even having a hand in any of anybody's progression, you know. I love seeing that, you know.
Yeah, watching somebody from their first practice, if I ever watch myself even pull like in my early days of arm wrestling, my first year, I watch
Hmm.
myself pull some of these matches and I'm like, why did I what was
Yeah,
I doing there?
right.
Why,
Yeah,
you
we
know,
just didn't know what we was doing. We at
no.
practice, our I think not this practice or whatever it was, a couple practices ago, we were looking at our videos that we had on our YouTube from 3 years ago, 3.5 years ago, and oh my goodness, bro, it was so bad. We had
And
no idea
strength
what we was doing.
plays. It's crazy and it's kind of cringy to watch. Yep. And
I'm
strength
just
plays a
thankful
big
that none of us
factor.
really got hurt. Really, that's really what
Yeah.
it comes down to. Like
I look
thankful
back
that
at a
that
lot of
nobody.
positions I've been in, and I'm like, man, I don't know. God was with me that day because my arm was not with me that day.
Right,
For some reason,
exactly.
I let it go wherever, to fight. But I mean, strength is definitely important. But a lot of times when guys level up, it's not because they got stronger. It's because they figured something out. They they
They
they they kind
understand.
of things connected a little better.
Yeah, you understand how to use what you have.
Exactly. And sometimes, and you'll see a match like if you watch what was it? I don't know if you saw me and Sam Tabbert's super match. It's kind of a good example of that. A lot clicked in that match, and I learned a lot from that match. Like I'll say, I practiced twice between for those 6 months, from that Sam Tabbert super match till nationals. I practiced twice. Went to the
Mm,
gym consistently, but I practiced twice.
mm,
That was in December around Christmas time when Doug Allen was up here. I pulled with him, and
yeah,
then I think I pulled with James Winland and Gerald and those guys down there in Mason, Ohio, or somewhere around
right.
there. A couple weeks before, 3 or 4 weeks before nationals,
Yeah,
and but you know, it's not to say I don't want. I mean, I watch my matches religiously every single day almost. I will sit back and watch a match that I lost, and it's like, okay, I know why I lost, but what else am I watching? Am I watching my elbow positioning? Am I watching, the way I started? There's so many mental reps that you can gain
yeah.
that it's
Is
you
there
can't.
something that you missed? You know,
Yeah,
can I learn something else? Is there anything in the footage that I so happen to miss that I can learn from? You know, you can watch it once. Okay, I learned. Okay, I got to do this different. But if you watch it, a dozen times, you might find eight different things that you did wrong.
oh yeah, I slow mo my matches. I sit there and I watch everything my opponent's doing to me because I'm seeing what lanes he found. And that's how I also apply that to my training. Like, okay, what lane did he see here that he took that he felt
Yeah,
confident
where are
taking?
you weak?
Yeah, exactly. And then I take that and I'm like, okay, because I may have gotten top rolled, but if you would have tried to top roll me right off the rip, I'm flat pressing through it. I may have gotten dragged out, but if he would have tried to drag me out when I had my pronator engaged, and there's a lot of things that lead to that. Arm wrestling is a crazy it's a crazy compound movement in itself. You have
Oh
your
yeah.
hand, your wrist, your forearm, your lat, your chest, your front delt, your rear delt, your
Mm-hmm.
side delt. Your core is crazy. People need to train their core. That's another thing. Nobody
Mm-hmm.
trains their
Yeah.
core. Everybody thinks that it's all here. Nobody trains their midsection. Like, how do you expect to brace yourself at the table with no
You're
core?
right. Exactly. Yep.
And that's with any sport. You see baseball players in the gym lifting, and 90% of the time they're doing core exercises. They're
Yeah.
swinging a bat. You know,
Yeah. It's all that
and
that
it's
everything's just twisting. It's got to be connected.
yeah,
You know,
exactly.
if it's all loose, they're going to end up getting hurt.
And that's when you do get hurt. I hurt my back in 2021, and it wasn't because I picked something up that was too heavy, or I was at work. I was holding a car door that maybe weighed like 25, 30 pounds, And all of a sudden, something just kind of pulled. I kind of took a breath, something pulled, and my back was locked up for like a month. Then I went in the gym. I started training my back like crazy, my core like crazy. I still kind of have back spasms here and there, but I noticed that when I stop training, my back and my midsection as much, the back spasms will kind of start again. Your body's always going to try to compensate for something when it's feeling weird, feeling weak somewhere.
Yeah.
Like if you look at somebody's physique, they're never 100% proportional. Their body's
Right.
compensating in some way, somehow. So,
Hmm. Taking energy from
especially
one spot to make up for it in the other.
yeah, exactly. And that's, why a lot of bodybuilders will kind of go and do a incline dumbbell press rather than a flat barbell bench press or a flat incline bench press. It's like, okay, I'm
Right.
trying to build my pecs. I'm trying to build proportional pecs. I'm not trying to build one a little stronger on this side than that side. And they're going to kind of formula, genetics play a role in that too. But yeah, I guess moral of the story is train your damn core because if not, all the twisting and turning and pulling you do at the table, it'll bite you. It's gonna hurt a lot more than
Yeah.
just your arms one day. I mean, you'll
Yeah,
feel a
for sure.
if you feel a back spasm at the table. Oh my god, that's
Dude,
that is
I've been
awful,
having trouble with my sciatica nerve on the right side,
and that
and
stems from your back too,
yeah,
because
exactly.
that
So I
happens to
need
me.
to strengthen my lower back for sure.
And it happens to me. Like my back will kind of spasm a few times, and then about a week later, I'll start getting those sciatic nerve pains shooting down my leg when I'm laying in bed or something, and it just all stems.
Yeah.
It's been consistent enough the last few times where I'm like, okay, I know why this is happening now because I'm not, and I never have been one of those guys that the second I feel pain somewhere, I'm going to the doctor. It's
Oh
always
yeah.
I got to figure it out because yeah, I didn't grow up with parents that wanted to take me to the doctor every time I had a boo boo. Kind of grew
Right.
up with the
Exactly.
throw some dirt on it, get your ass up, you're okay. And
Exactly. Well,
which I'm
shoot.
grateful
Nowadays,
for.
I mean, you're going to go to a doctor. Shoot, you might end up on some medication where
Oh
the
yeah,
what? How do you say you end up? Man, what the heck?
like a
Whatever
dependency.
happens to you from the medication is worse than the actual what it's
Oh
trying to
yeah,
affect. You know.
yeah. We think the carcinogens that they put in our food is bad. Just
Oh my
wait till they
goodness.
understand what kind of medication or what kind of additives are going in this medication that we prescribe 6-year-old boys. That's a completely different topic. 6-year-old boys and girls to start taking medicine from that age all the way up their entire life. And how do you think their liver's doing processing that medication on a daily basis?
Right.
You're setting them up for failure.
Hmm.
Yeah, I could have that. I could.
Instead of finding some natural way that was, God created us to in order to heal ourselves, fasting, i.e. fasting, you know
Exactly.
uh instead of doing that, they just shove pills down our throats, well, attempt to,
It's the worst thing for it. I mean, and that's the same way with arm wrestling. I've heard a lot of people that are like, "Oh, I'm chewing through ibuprofen, this and that." Dude, I don't
oh,
even take medicine when I'm that sick. Like, I'll get sick, and if I'm really sick, I might take like some Advil or something. If I'm
right.
really sick, 90% of the time, if I have some allergies flaring up or I get the common cold, I have an immune system. My
Mm,
body better be able to fight that off. If I have to rely on some pills to fight sicknesses and diseases off my entire life,
right.
I'm not going to be worth a damn. And it's the same way with, when I feel pain in arm wrestling. Blood is a natural healer.
Yeah, 100%. Yep.
If you're able to move,
Yeah.
you're going to heal.
Preach. Preach.
And hydration, and it's another thing. A lot of these people are like, "Oh, well, I just, I can't recover for anything." Well, you're eating like shit. And when I say eating like shit, I'm not just saying like you're not eating healthy foods. Like you're not eating enough food. You're not
Right.
drinking enough water. You're not doing what you're supposed to be doing in you know, within the healing process. You're not going to heal up in one day from this shit. This is arm wrestling.
Mm.
Your tendons and ligaments take a huge hit. It's just not going to
Oh
happen.
yeah.
So,
Yeah.
it takes a few days. Now, with that being said, you get to a point to where like I'm still able to start going heavy-ish on like Tuesday, Wednesday, Friday
Yeah.
with the first week after a tournament, but it's never what I'm able to do after 5, 6 weeks after a tournament.
Yeah,
The
exactly.
weights are going to ramp up, especially then, once you're getting closer to being healed. Um, but yeah, blood's a natural healer. Hydration's important. Train
That's
your
why,
core.
dude, I've been preaching to guys for 2 years now about the recovery aspect and how many reps that I do in order to stay healthy. Because if I'm not healthy, I can't even pull, weekly at practice. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
And that's my heavy day. I use that as my heavy day. So if I can't get that recovery in, then I'm going to be like crap on my heavy day, and I want to get the
yep.
gains on the heavy day. So I got to do the recovery. And personally, I know how many reps it takes for me to stay healthy. Not necessarily does it have to be that many reps for everybody else, but I think in general, the arm wrestling community doesn't put enough emphasis on recovery.
No, no, they don't. And I don't think anybody has the perfect recipe for recovery because we're all built differently. Our bodies are all
Correct.
built
Yes.
differently. Like we all take trauma in a different spot on the table. So like for me, for instance, my brachialis was practically untouched this past weekend. It was what's really was on fire was my inner elbow, like crazy.
Yeah.
And my hand and wrist. So my hand, wrist, my inner elbow, crazy lit up. Everything else, fine.
Yeah,
So
because everybody's loading like this,
yeah,
trying to high hook everybody. That's
yep.
the perfect move. So why wouldn't you do it?
And that's what I do. And a lot of people were like, well, you're top rolling. I'm like, no, I just put a crazy amount of pressure in people's hands and there's a lot of back pressure. So instead of their arm
Right.
coming up off the pad, their
Yeah.
hand goes. I'm not trying to completely, like roll outside on everybody. A lot of time
Correct.
it's
Yeah.
just, you know, crazy cup and supination and a lot of down pressure. But with my risers still being engaged and still being high, which is why it's a
And
high hook.
dragging at the same time.
Yeah, there's a lot going on there, but it's a
Yeah.
lot going on like
I
that.
tried
That
to explain to people, like, um, okay, now do this, the new guys, and then I'll be like, okay, so you give it a little cup, and then you drag back and you go like this and all, and I'm trying to explain to everybody how to do it, and they'll do this and then they'll drag back, but then they'll go like this,
Yep.
drag back, and their hand goes. I'm like, no, stop. You gotta keep doing everything. Continue. If I tell you to cup, you don't stop cupping. You
Yeah.
continue to cup and you cup even more on the second movement.
So I
And by
tell
the
people,
time I'm trying to explain to these guys like five different things, and and I feel bad because it's really hard for a new guy to understand
yeah,
how to do all five things at once.
it's really easy for you to connect the dots because you've been doing it so
We've been
much.
doing it long enough. Yeah.
And then the second you try to tell somebody else, they're just clueless. And it's not, and they could be genetic freaks, crazy gifted athletes. It's not that they're not athletic or they're not, what am I trying to say here? They're not coordinated enough. It's just the fact that they don't know what you're talking about because they
Right.
haven't felt that yet. But the second they feel it, they're like, okay. And I almost feel like
Mm-hmm.
sometimes the difference in feeling like, especially keeping your cup when you're pronating, you feel that difference when you get your ass whipped a couple times and then you go, okay, you cup in a little bit more just to defend almost. It's more of a defense
Yeah.
mechanism.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then you feel everything get set up and it's like, oh wow, that felt crazy.
Mm-hmm.
That's what Billy
I
was
love
talking
I
about for
love
the last
watching
6 months.
whenever the guys they'll do that, and then they'll start moving the body, and that,
Yeah.
like I said earlier, the lower body movements. And then I'm just like, oh, that's nice. I see those,
Yep.
the start moving over, the elbow getting farther this way, the angle, and then
Yep.
just constantly dragging. Oh, it's like I said, it's a ballet and it's beautiful. It's such a beautiful thing to watch.
And it
Two
took me so
high
long
level
to
arm
get
wrestlers do
used to
that.
that too. Like, because like I had a bruise on my left hip after the on my left
Yeah,
hip
you
and like my
should.
left upper thigh. I
Yeah,
had a
if you're not,
crazy massive bruise. I
yeah,
don't bruise easy, but it was from slamming my hip into the table when I kind of came up for that press and
yeah,
kind of getting everything just perfect in line to be as strong as I could be in that lane.
yep.
And I mean, I woke up and I was like, why is my damn leg hurt? I mean, it's still kind of tender. Like it's still
Yeah,
bruised and it's, I
Well,
think when
I'm
I
glad it
started
is
training,
because if you didn't do that, you probably wouldn't have
oh
gotten
no,
into that in a decent position. You probably would have got flashed, you
yeah.
know. So, my hat's off to you for, recognizing and putting yourself in the better position.
And it's weird too because like you get told that 1,000 times, you practice it 1,000 times, you won't ever do it in a tournament until it comes natural, which is why
Yep.
practice is so important. And,
Yep.
and it's the same with every move. You could practice a hook 1,000 times. The second you get in a tournament, you're gonna go right back to top rolling because now you're competing versus practicing. And you practice how you play, except when you put money on the line and you're playing, it's like, okay, I'm trying to win here.
Right.
And 90% of the time when you're out of practice, you're trying to work on where you're weak. And it's got to click. The second it clicks, it's crazy. But
Isn't it?
until then, it's like, okay, I'm making a little bit of progress. Maybe I'll go from, number, 5,000 in the country to 4,900, 98 in the country
Hmm.
next year. But then
Exactly.
something clicks and it's like, oh, I just moved up 3,000 spots.
Yeah,
All these
exactly.
guys behind me are trying to do the exact same thing. They're still trying to make everything click too.
Hmm.
And I don't think it has as much to do with training as people think. Same with strength. Now, of course, strength has to be there as you get to a higher level. Strength has to be there, which is why it should never be neglected. But I think if there's a lot of really strong dudes out there who just haven't put it together yet, and when they do,
Yeah.
there's going to be a lot
I've
of
told,
issues.
I keep telling the new guys this also is you get the strongest jump in strength isn't from lifting weights.
No.
It's from understanding how to use the strength that you already have.
Yeah.
Your strength level on the table, it might be like 30%, while you're starting, but after that light bulb clicks, it in that period of time, it goes from that 30% all the way up to like 77%, once
Oh
that
yeah.
light bulb clicks. And then it's not as steep of a strength curve influx. So once that light bulb clicks, and then that's really when the work starts, because that's when you
Yeah.
actually understand, okay, where am I weak, and how do I get stronger in my weak points. So
Hmm.
that's what comes after the actual light bulb on how to actual arm wrestle. you know
Yeah.
the young guys and the new guys, they get super strong once that light bulb goes on, but then the real work starts.
Yeah. Now that's when, well, once you understand what you're supposed to do,
Oh
now
yeah.
it's like, okay, now I need to be strong enough to do it. So like I'm
Mm-hmm.
forever gonna be like when I first got into the sport, my hand was crazy strong just genetically and from working and playing other sports, things of that nature. I just came in with, I want to say, an above average hand for a low level puller.
Right.
Um and then I started training it like crazy because I was losing matches and I thought it's because my hand wasn't strong enough. And then I thought it was because my arm wasn't strong enough. So I started training my arm like crazy. I started training every angle. And then you
Mm-hmm.
understand things. And then you start just destroying people. And now it's like, okay, it's not a strength issue. It probably never has been a strength issue. However, now you run into that issue when you start getting to a higher level, your arm will get stronger than your hand. So then you go
Oh yeah.
crazy with your hand, and then your hand will get stronger than your arm. And it's all the competition you
Yeah.
face constantly going to be chasing, one demon there. Something is going to be your
Mm-hmm.
limiting factor. And but
And there's
if
always going to be that opponent that is going to exploit uh, something in your that weak link in your armor. They're going
yeah,
to find it. If they're good
absolutely.
tacticians on the table, they're going to find it within 2 rounds if it's a super match. You know, but shoot, some of those high level guys are just so efficient with their positioning and their either loading or not loading, that it can exploit, something before they even go starts. They understand where you're weak just by holding your hand.
Yeah.
So crazy.
Yeah,
So crazy.
and that's another thing. Like I stopped loading with people completely. I don't load at all. It's a zero, maybe 1% pressure. For the most part, my hand is floating.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't really cap much anymore. I kind of go under. and I kind of
Hmm.
grip a little lower than I normally used to. My webbing is the same. Don't get me wrong, my webbing is the same. I might be a little deeper, a little lower, um, with my riser completely engaged. I have full control over
Hmm.
every single part of my hand rather than capping and kind of losing a little bit of dexterity. If that makes any sense at all,
Yeah.
how I'm explaining this, I don't know if it's making sense, but it's once you feel it, if you pull like that, once you feel it, it makes crazy sense. But yeah, I
Oh
don't
yeah,
load it
I
all.
understand.
I've got, 5 different lanes that I can think of off the top of my head that I feel good in. There's 5 other lanes that I suck in, but I can still pull at. But I'm
Yeah.
sitting there the entire time, and as I feel this guy loading like crazy going backwards, I'm like, all right, this guy's gonna try to top roll me. I'm slamming him in a hook. Or okay, this guy feels like he's gonna try to hook me. I'm gonna go outside with him. Efficiency is key, and this is why I try to drill to a lot of people's heads too. Is like, especially if you're pulling a tournament. I don't care if you're the number one top roller in the country, you're the number one hooker in the country. If you're gonna be efficient at a tournament, you're gonna pull top rollers in a hook, and you're gonna hook, and you're gonna top roll hookers,
Hmm.
and you're gonna hook flop wrist pressers, and you're gonna use as little energy as possible to beat everybody. You're not trying to show people that you're stronger than that guy. You're trying to show them you're a better arm wrestler.
Yeah. The
And
Drew
this is
24,
where,
he's got a perfect name for it. Combat chess.
yeah, absolutely.
Combat chess. Yep.
I'm not trying to sit there and say that I'm a stronger arm wrestler than you. I'm trying to say that I'm a better arm wrestler than you because I'm able to use, you know, everything I know and everything I've worked for, just with a little more efficiency, and that's how you finish tournaments, and that's why tournament pulling can be a lot different from super match. But even in
Hmm.
a super match, I'm pulling the same way. I'm not trying to pull that guy to show him that I'm stronger than him. It's
Right.
never it's never about strength. We're not testing strength. You want to test strength, we'll go to the gym. Like,
Yeah. Exactly.
we'll find out really quick just from looking at numbers who's going to be stronger. But
Right.
it's just never going to be that way. And
Yeah.
that's when a lot of people that are top rollers start learning how to hook and vice versa. And it's when you understand
Yep.
that. But
Yep. That's what I've been doing for the last year is, uh, you know, getting Croxel to, help me um, develop the hook not as a offensive move, but as a defensive move.
yeah,
You know,
yeah, because you're going to need it.
and
I
you
mean,
have
like
to
I
have.
said, you could be the best. You could show up to a tournament, look at your bracket, and go, "Okay, I'm the best top roller in this tournament." But
Hmm.
if you try to top roll everybody, your efficiency, your
Yeah,
efficiency is not that high because
your
you're going to lose
pronators going to get
percentage
tired to
each
begin with.
round. Exactly. You're going to go into a hook at some point.
Yeah,
It could be somebody that you could top roll in your sleep, but now it's round 10. You have no more pronation left. Your back
right.
pressure is even starting to get a little fried. Your hit's gone. So now it's all reliant on cup supination and your drag and your down pressure. And if you don't know how to do that, you're kind of throwing yourself to
Yeah,
the wood. You might as well just concede. I
right.
mean, it's just there's no sense of trying something that is not going to work. But this is why we train, and that's what that's kind of my reflection on
Exactly.
Arizona State to begin with, or to conclude that was, this is why I train. I don't train to come in here and just see perfect performances through and through the entire time. I learned a lot from nationals. I won. I went undefeated in nationals. I learned a ton. I saw positions that I got in that I shouldn't have been in. I
Hmm.
saw, setups that I could have done better with. Um, I mean, I top rolled in that tournament. I hooked, I pressed, I flopped wrist to go to the strap. I utilized several different, techniques there in order to get the job done. I
Yeah,
wasn't top rolling everybody that day. I wasn't hooking everybody that day. A perfect example. It's never going to be like that at most tournaments. But
they got a question for you from Tracy Hare. He said, "What's who's next for Cody? Are you going to compete at Worlds?"
Worlds is when is Worlds?
Greece in
In the
September, I believe.
September. Mm, I still haven't decided. So I've kind of, I don't
It's
know,
a lot
still
of
kind of
money.
up in the air. It's a lot of money. Like, yeah, they're
A lot
paying
of
a
money.
thousand dollars. The trip is going to cost. I can't go and leave my girlfriend behind. That's not. The trip's going to cost a lot more than $1,000.
Yeah.
Um, and in terms of arm wrestling, if like just for instance, I spent not even $600-700, I think, total for Arizona State, and I flew across the damn country for
Right.
that. However, flying over to Greece is not going to be that same. you
No.
know? But
Yeah. We're not going to be able to
no,
fly Spirit.
yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
Not only
But
taking
no,
a
what's
cab.
next? I've got June 22nd. I'm pulling that right-handed super match, and then I'm going to pull the tournament super heavyweight left. Um,
Who is your opponent, right hand again?
Aaron Balden, I think is how you pronounce his last name.
Aaron
He's from
Bolden.
Arizona. He's a righty. I guess he's like 6'5" or something. Super tall
Oh,
top roller,
well,
um, which is great for me because I'm a hooker. So I know I'm not going to get in any weird outside battles with that dude. I'm not trying to top roll him. So, but
hmm
but that'll be right handed, and then left handed. Like I said, supers tournament, and then August 24th, I think, is the date for Mississippi State. So after um, June 22nd, I'll be religiously training for August 24th, Mississippi State's. I think, correct me if I'm wrong, that puts me in about roughly 8 weeks until then, after, the tournament in June.
yeah.
8 weeks, 2 days, something like that. I don't know the way the months fall, but that's going to be about perfect time frame for me to kind of get a couple practices in within that time, and then a solid 8 weeks of just hitting weights pretty hard. Well, about 7 weeks of hitting weights pretty hard, and then we're going down to Mississippi, going to compete down there at 2:30, and then I don't,
Tracy,
I'm kind of playing
June
it by
22
ear.
is Gus's bar down in Beaver.
Yes. What's
He was asking
another
about June 22.
another tournament? I'm doing that um, 220 Invitational in December that Laray's putting on.
Oh, cool.
So that's ultimately what all of this, what Arizona State, what Mississippi State, all these things are like huge live practices, and compared to that, because that's like the World Series. It's
Right.
that's what all the I'm putting all my marbles in that basket, or
hmm
all my eggs in that basket. That's kind of what the big goal is. Of course, is go out there and win that. But I've had that super match with Rich in October. Unless we can get a sooner date on that, that would be cool. Because
hmm
I hate waiting super long in between pulling. Um, but
Maybe
it
talk
is
to
what it
Kevin
is.
and see if I think he was talking about, the Harley Davidson thing that is going on now that he started. I think it's up in Parma at a Harley Davidson dealership. I think he said something about having dogfights 8 at that Harley dealership in maybe late August, I think, possibly. So you
Also, that
might
might
be
fall
able
right
to.
around Mississippi State's then.
Mm,
Say if it's in September, but see, and that's another thing is once I start getting out to September, once I start reaching that far, like past 8 weeks, it's kind of okay. I kind of got to think a little more because,
right.
my dumbass, I'll schedule an event and then 2 weeks before be like, that's my daughter's birthday. I can't go to
Oh,
that,
jeez.
but because, yeah, I mean, there's a lot of times I just started putting all these events in my calendar. I used to not do that. I used to just be like, yeah, I'm pulling that tournament. Oh, you know what day that is? I'm like, yeah, it's this Saturday, Yeah, well, do
Uh-huh.
you know what date that is? I'm like, no. But no, another part of that just comes with being young and dumb too. I'm 24 years
Mm.
old. It's still that's
You're
still kind
what?
of
How old
happening.
now?
24.
Jeez. Dang. Dang,
So
man. I got 16, almost 16 years on you. My goodness. I mean,
that's crazy.
that is the benefit of youth is everything's nice and healthy. Keep it healthy, please.
Yeah.
The more you
And
can.
that's another thing too. I think with me being 24, I think from being 21 to 24, because I started arm wrestling when I was 21, I
Right.
think not only am I getting stronger on the table from arm wrestling, from lifting weights, things of that nature, I'm also developing. I mean, you develop till you're what, 26 as a man? So my body is
Yeah.
also still kind of developing, and my mind, my brain is still developing,
Hmm.
if and I don't know if this is a fake for everybody, but if I go back and kind of look at the way that, I thought about things, the way I approached things back when I was 20, 21 to now, it's crazy how much intelligence you gain within that small, short 2, 3, 4 years
Hmm.
in your early 20s. I made some
Maturity
big,
levels
yeah,
go crazy. Yeah.
yeah.
But
So
yeah, well, all right. Well, I think that's pretty much going to wrap it up. Um, we're about a little over 2 hours into it,
yeah, I
so it
just
was a
looked, it was
great
10:07.
conversation. Great.
Yeah,
Yeah, I tell you
absolutely.
what, those are the best ones whenever 2 hours go by like that.
Yeah.
I just look down and I'm like, oh crap, it's 10 o'clock. Oh
Right
geez.
on. Yeah,
Four
I'm gonna
o'clock
go
in the
eat some
morning comes
dinner
early whenever you
and
gotta get up.
take myself to bed. But yeah, awesome,
But
man. I appreciate you having me on here.
I appreciate everything you've done for Ohio arm wrestling, man. I'm telling you.
Glad that I'm in
You
that
know,
spot. Glad I'm able to do that. And
heck yeah.
yeah, so
Well, we appreciate everything that you've done, and then congratulations on nationals and a good showing at Arizona State. I applaud you for that. Also, best of luck in everything you got coming up, and we're excited to see where your arm wrestling how it develops and where it's
yeah,
going to take you because I can see if if you want it to take you farther, I I can see you taking it as far as you want. I
yeah,
don't see anybody but you stopping you.
right. And that's the mindset you have to have if you try to get to that next level too.
Yeah.
It's
Do you think
really a
that's
just
do you think that
huge
is
discipline battle.
do you think that is something that I know you're young at this point and it's hard to understand, what you want out of life, with a 2-year-old little one and whatnot, but at this point at your age, it's where you have to start making the decision, okay, is arm wrestling going to be higher level in your world, and do you want to take your competing into higher levels and continue to get higher levels because it takes a lot of sacrifices at each level.
Oh
To
yeah,
get to a high level pro, it takes X amount of sacrifice and strength training and all that stuff. And then, beyond that, at each level, it takes even more. So, at this point, at 24 years old, it's a big decisions coming up, in the next
right.
couple of years for you, you know, because it
Yeah,
doesn't get
yeah. I
any
mean,
easier after you're 30. Trust me.
no.
It's a whole lot harder to continue to get stronger, with
Yeah, and I kind of
the
want to
body.
answer that with I didn't get the ball rolling to kind of let it stop. There's a lot of I've got a lot of momentum, coming from winning nationals, how I competed at Arizona State. There's a lot of momentum there, and I think where my sights are long term. I don't want to say long term. I kind of hate when people use that short term, long term phrase when it comes to arm wrestling because this sport you can rapidly progress if you play your cards right.
Yeah.
Uh, I want to, see myself on the East versus West stage at some point in my career. That's kind of the high for me. I think that's the top of the mountain is kind of being up there and competing with the best of the best.
Hmm.
Um, Now that being said, I'm not ready for that yet. I understand that.
Right.
So,
Right. Right. Right.
there's a lot of hungry, there's a lot of hungry pullers behind me. There's a lot of hungry pullers ahead of me. There's a lot of competition that needs to be, of course, dealt with in this country before I start looking out, at other countries, and there's always going to be. So,
Yeah, because it
uh,
gets, United States level arm wrestling is not the same as European arm
no,
wrestling,
absolutely not. And when you
Western
pull
European arm wrestling. That's on a different level.
yeah, when you pull an international pull or two, it's just the pressures are completely different. It was the weirdest thing in the world. I'm glad I had
Yeah,
that experience, and
yeah,
I want to pull those guys more because I learned so much from just the way he set up. I can't even explain how much different. Like if you set up with a guy like that, you'll sit there and be like, this guy's not American. This guy is not from the West. He does not pull over here at
right.
all. The setup's weird. Um, yeah,
They
and
set up for speed.
speed and precision. They're very they know where they want to go, even if you might feel like you got them in a spot where they're gonna kind of not do that. They're gonna do it. Like they know where they're trying to go, and they're gonna do whatever they need to do to get to their power. Uh,
Mhm.
yeah, very very explosive pullers. I think it's another thing with arm wrestling. I could talk arm wrestling all day long, but I think another thing with arm wrestling, you want to be an explosive puller, train like one. Um,
Yeah,
If you want to be a slow puller, train like one. But at the end of the day, hydration, your core, um, nutrition, um, recovery.
strength, mental strength,
Yes,
huge part
yes,
of it.
it's through the roof. You need to have the mental toughness. When you call yourself battle tested, you're not just battle tested because you've been in wars on the table. You're battle tested because you've been there here, not only with other people on the table, with yourself. I mean, it's not easy to sit there and
Dude, it's a
show
battle
up to the
just to
gym.
keep a man's diet in check.
Yeah, that's harder than being in the gym.
Dude, I, if I knew I could, you know, have a decent diet and stick to it, my training would go so much better. But
You ever seen the kind of foods you have to eat to do that? It's awful.
oh my
It's not.
goodness, so tough.
When I was fighting, man, I was eating tilapia. I hate tilapia. I was choking the shit down, and of course, couldn't really season it because I couldn't have sodium,
Hoop fish,
not high
hoop
levels.
fish.
Oh my
They
god,
raise those in sewage.
do they? Super
Yeah,
lean meat. Don't gain any weight eating the stuff, and it has a lot of. I think there's a lot of benefits to it too. I don't know. I was told this, but oh god, yeah, being a health guy in terms of like eating the right foods. I don't think I'll ever be that guy. I'm a pizza guy at heart, man. I'm Italian. I love pizza.
I love me
I
some
can't
Italy
I can't
pizza.
stay away from it. Like if we're talking cheat meal, I'm not ever gonna sit there and say like, okay, we'll do tacos for a cheat meal or we'll do this or that. It's get me a damn pizza. I don't care where it's from. The mom and pop shops are the best, but the chain stores will do. Pizza's pizza.
Don't get it from 7-Eleven. Oh my goodness.
No, some gas station pizza's good. Have you ever had
Some
Casey's
of it's
pizza?
good. Dude, I lived on Quick King Pizza.
Did you?
It's just a little local thing back whenever I was like 19.
Yeah.
And dude, they had $6 larges, you know, and I would get one large. It would last me 2 days. I would eat it, you know,
So my senior
half
year of
of it
high
one day
school,
and half of it the next day. And that would last me 2 days. Dude, I
I was
lived on that sucker for a year. For
for
a
like
year.
6 months when I benched 315 my senior year of high school. I was like 202 pounds. And for the entire 6 months of training to hit that 315 bench, I want to say like 3 to 4 times a week, I ate a large Little Caesars pizza because it was $5. I was trying to put on size. And when you're that age, you're running around like crazy. You're going,
Oh,
you're
yeah.
partying, you're a kid, you're running everywhere, you just so keeping weight and keeping that size was so hard. I was
Mhm.
just pounding food. I'm
Yeah.
24, and if I did that now, I would be 300 pounds before I knew
Oh, easy.
it. Like,
Wait till you're almost 40, bro.
yeah, I bet it's even
Dude.
worse.
Oh, dude, it's so bad. You look at food wrong and then you gain 5 pounds.
Yeah.
That's why I intermittent fast so much.
I do it
Skip
without even
meals.
realizing it. I mean, by not
Yeah.
eating breakfast, my last meal of the day, I mean, I guess tonight it'll be a late dinner, but my last meal of the day is 10 o'clock at night. I don't eat lunch until noon.
Yeah.
So
And
that's,
it's
what is
tough on
that,
the body though
14
sometimes
hours?
eating that late and then going almost going directly to sleep.
It
trying to
is.
digest in sleep mode is not the best for our systems. But
It
what
is.
you do, what you got to do. You know,
Yeah, and that's another thing. Like you kind of have to play the cards you're dealt, and that's what's ideal isn't always what you're able to do.
correct.
Um, and that's I want to say with the way the government is as far as eating healthy, that's a lot of people. They want to eat healthy. Their
Yeah,
pockets, they're not deep enough for that. It's
correct.
freaking expensive to be a health freak. Like,
Yep, yep. Especially with a family. Single guys,
yeah,
yeah, maybe you can probably get away with it if you got a good enough job. But man, you get a family,
yeah,
bro.
yeah.
That
There's no
cereal
way.
is looking like a meal, more often than not.
I want to say there was more times that I had sandwich night as a kid. Is bologna sandwiches. Every now and again, I got a little frisky. I threw it on the stove for 5 minutes
Yeah.
and fried it up a
Well,
little
cheese
bit.
sandwiches, cheese and it was
Cheese
cheese,
and chips.
mayonnaise on bread
Yeah,
with uh some basic Lay's chips.
they had to be the original Lay's. Couldn't be
Yeah.
like barbecue or sour cream and onion or
No,
anything.
we
They had to be
couldn't.
the original Lay's.
Yeah,
You ever
that's what
throw
we had
tuna,
to
canned
use.
tuna on a piece of bread with some mayonnaise and some relish? Oh man,
Oh,
now we're talking about some
bro,
dinners now.
exactly. All right,
But
brother. I appreciate you. All the best to you, Caleb.
yes,
Thanks,
sir.
or yeah, Cody. Thanks for being here. I saw Caleb's name on the chat, but appreciate everybody being here. Thanks, Cody, for being on the podcast. Stop in on the Dogfight 7 lead up podcast. I'm going to have that here pretty soon. I think we're about almost 2 weeks for that. So I'll probably have that next week. More than welcome to stop in and, put your predictions in on that for us. But
Awesome.
yeah, I appreciate you. Thanks for your time, and go grab something to eat, brother.
Yes, sir. Thanks for having me. I appreciate it. Have a good one.
All right, guys. Have a good night, everybody. God bless.